Boom. Friday night. Hope everyone is well, staying safe, warm, washing your damn hands. Mate, we have a great one. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. Once again, wasn't how I pictured it, but you know what? We're here. I'm excited. We've got a great lineup of human beings. So, you know what? I'm just going to put this here. I'm just going to get this going. Ooh, I'm hearing beers being poured. That's awesome. I love it. All right. What's good, y'all? This is Cee Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 50 of Beer Not the Shit, the podcast, Adjunct series, quarantine edition. I can't believe it's been 50 damn episodes of this quarantine thing. It's a good time out here. This evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is a special one. This is, during this time, you may have noticed we're mostly bringing back guests. There's some new ones too, but mostly bringing back guests. Maybe we haven't had on for a while, and a lot's obviously changed either with them or with the industry in general. Can we move this? Yeah. And being instructed, we should have done this beforehand. We realized the other day that these guys haven't been on since, I believe, we conducted the interview in May 2017. So that's coming up on 4 years, which is out of control, but at least we're getting it done again. I have my co-host from BAOS, our blog writer, Nathan from NathanDoesBeer is here, alongside Josh and Scott from Dominion City. Boys, welcome. We got a crowd. Great to see your faces. It's awesome.
Good to see you too, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't think I've seen you guys in person since we went to Ren's thing. I think that was 2019. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Was that
You're
April?
Right.
That would have been.
Yeah, right? What a long ass time. Isn't that
It's
crazy?
too long ago.
It really is, man. It's like 2 hours away. There's no excuse. I mean, I got to get my ass up there more. But glad to see everyone is well and doing your, shit is moving great for you guys. You guys have had a pretty good run as far as, good can go. The things that you guys have done in the last year have been pretty damn spectacular, and if I'm honest, it's been I think you guys are really leading the way in a lot of things, so I'm really excited to talk to you guys, because I feel like in Nate, and you can speak to that as well, but during the last year almost of doing the podcast like this and talking to brewers and finding out how they're being creative and handling the new reality that we find ourselves in, you guys have really paved the way for so many things, and it kept coming up time and time again. So I'm really excited to sort of hear that, because I haven't spoken to you guys or seen you to be able to ask. So I feel like we have a lot to get on, but we have to crack a beer first. Goddamn.
Yes, we do.
Nathan and I, we're going to be able to drink different stuff tonight. The old Civic Pilsner. I realize I haven't had this before. So no better time. But what are you boys drinking?
I'm drinking a Primo from Silent Hill, actually.
I think you guys both said that at once.
Scott, you go.
Sorry.
That's
I
right,
got a Primo from Silent Hill.
Hey. And what style is that?
So that's one of the that's one of the offerings that you guys have on the Friends of the Dominion store now, and like you've had quite a bit of Stone and Hill like on there, and I think we'll touch on that more a bit later. But yeah, what style is that one there?
They list it as a Czech Pils. It's a collab with the Scarpman Labs. I don't know if it says anything else other than that, but yeah, it's just premium Pils.
Love it.
It's delicious.
And what did you have, Josh?
I'm drinking a Time and Tide, which I think is in your bundle too.
Yes,
but
I saw that.
It's a fresh hoppy lager that we just had out, and I find them very gluggable.
I like that, gluggable. Tell us about the Civic Pilsner, man. So this is a regular, is it? According to Nate there? This one comes back regularly, or it's year-round? Whoever.
Yeah, go ahead, Scotty.
Go
Scotty's been working on lagers for
a lot more these days. We've been making a lot more lager in general, but this one's sort of, I think, a staff favorite, and it's simple. It's just Pilsner malt and a few German varieties and a lot of lagering time. We actually use like a Czech floor malted barley for a lot of like malt character, but it's supposed to be a really dry and hoppy pills, just something you can really drink the hell out of,
Right. Here for it, man. That's what you need. I love it. I feel like you guys weren't always doing a ton of like crispies, eh? Like I feel like that's more of a more recent thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a lot more recent. Like, yeah, I mean, it's something that I know that we all talk about at the brewery that we all want, and it's what we end up drinking when we go out for beers. And it's hard for breweries to have the time and space to do these things properly, where they have, they take a lot of time. And so we bought a couple lager tanks, like horizontal lager tanks that just sort of, it forces the hand, like we have to brew them. So we've just got a lot more of them. We're trying a few different styles out, but this one's definitely in the running for favorite, I think.
Hell yeah. I can see why, man. It's beautiful body, great balance, not too sweet, nice little slight bitterness there, a little grassy, a little fruity, glorious.
Yeah, it's got that good like that good grassiness leading to a bit of a peppery hit at the end, and like just super gluggable, to borrow Josh's term there.
Almost like
if I'm remembering right, I think this was one of the ones that kind of started you guys having a fairly regular rotation of Crispy Boys. This is one of the earlier pills or lagers that I remember you guys doing a couple of years back, and you've had several others since then. But this has definitely been one that's made the rounds a few times for good reason. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been really loving it lately. I just so much good lager being brewed in small breweries. I think we really first started noticing it a few years ago, and like Scott said, it was just something we kind of wanted to work away at. But I have to say, it's pretty satisfying these days to be able to bring home lager all the time and have it in my fridge. It seems to be the thing that's there most of the time. So
yeah, man, it's my new favorite thing. It's the most important style right now. It just hits a spot like nothing else really can. It's just glorious.
What do you attribute that to? Because I mean, we were born originally. Our brewery started in 2014, and that was not the trend at the time. That was very much not the trend at the time. And I think I first, really was like talking to people who make beer were the first ones who got me excited about drinking this kind of beer again with more regularity. But what do you attribute to sort of lager being a thing that people are appreciating more than maybe they did 5 years ago?
I think it's a really good question. I think part of it, and I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts as well, but I think exactly what you said, the people who make the beer, the brewers always say, I just want a lager. When I finish my shift, I just want a lager. And at the end of the day, if the people dictating the production to a degree want that, then they're just going to end up brewing it, or they're going to convince the people who make the decisions to brew it. And I think secondly, there's this like cyclical trend of interest as a drinker. We all probably started drinking macro lagers, and then maybe you discover the Euro lagers and ambers and porters and stouts and IPAs when it was West Coast, and then Belgians, and then blah blah blah, and then the haze came around, and that's all that mattered. Because watching back on our old clips, that's all me and Scott were talking about. It was pretty ridiculous to me. I was like, get over it, man. Stop talking about it. But it just didn't exist, so it was new and exciting. But every single one I watched back from that time period, it was just an obsession. So I feel like that was the obsession, and then that lasted quite some time. And I just feel like it might just be even palate exhaustion too, just from all the adjuncts and crazy pastry stouts and smoothies and all of this stuff. Like really, nothing beats this. And I feel like maybe when you opened in 2014. There weren't really many craft lagers as such. It was usually just blondes, because I imagine that no one really cared about it. So why let this sit for 6 to 8 weeks when you can make a blonde in 2? So I imagine that's probably part of it. And now it's like the brewing techniques, the horizontal tanks, all this stuff are all coming back. Brewers seem to be visiting Germany and the Czech Republic and coming back with these new ways of making it. And it's just, I don't know, it's just amazing. It hits in a whole different way. So I'm not sure if you guys have any other thoughts on that.
I definitely think there's something to the Czech trips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The government of the Czech Republic is doing something very effective by seeding the craft brewery landscape in North America. Right. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Oh, sorry. I'm getting some like lag. It was cutting over.
Mm. You can hear us?
Yeah, sorry, it was just choppy there for a second.
Oh, good.
Pardon me, carry on, Josh.
No, I was just joking. I definitely think I know a few people who've been on the government-sponsored trips to Czech Republic, and I think they're very effective at exporting what is amazing about their beer making tradition there for sure. So, I don't know. That's got to be a little piece of it, but I mean, they've been doing it for literally centuries, and we all forgot about what made it so amazing for so long. So it feels exciting to rediscover something that's old and been done a certain way for a long time and has a lot of integrity. And I don't know, it's almost like a whiplash a little bit. Like, I think, it was all like, we were very proud early on that we, didn't obey the same rules as everybody else who made beer, and, what couldn't be beer. And that was exciting and everything. But now to sort of get past that sort of awkward teenage phase and just like make the most of making beers that have like a real like sturdy timber under them, you know what I mean? And like been around for a long, long time, and really trying to nail a style. I know that's something that Scott talks about all the time, but I'm interested in that.
Great point.
Something that I think that I think goes along with it as well is like Haze, for instance, is one of those things that like really it is still the big thing. It's probably still like the most sought after. But the thing with Haze is it's one of those things that when someone is going out to buy it, they might they might buy 2 or they might buy a 4-pack of it or whatnot. But it's usually something that everyone wants to try the next one of. Like they want to try like a couple of them and love it, and then they want to see what the next one out is. Whereas the difference with a good with a really good pills, that's the kind of thing that someone wants to buy a 6-pack of. That's the thing that someone maybe wants to buy a case of, and and they probably want to come back and buy the same thing like in 2 weeks or or another month. Like they want to be able to have this the same thing and just crush that exact same delicious pills in a way that you don't see with the same with the IPA trend.
That's a really good point, dude. Jump in, Gus.
There's something like romantic about the way that like your parents had like a beer that was like their beer, and it was like that was always in the fridge. I don't know. The part of that's not the way that I've experienced beer now for a long, long time. But I don't know. When I think about 30, 40 years from now, I think it would be kind of cool if some of the people making beer now are making like so and so's beer, and like it's something that's got enough history under it. Jordan St. John talks all the time about how this is like the golden era of beer, and that like someday 100 years from now, people will look back and these brands, that have cropped up in the last 10 years that feel very shiny and new will be, significant in their local market at least, or something. And like some of these brands will have real history to them. I find that like super fascinating. But I agree with you that I think lager will endure. It's just that good.
Yeah, man. Go on, Scott. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I mean, lager's been around a long time, and I think like it's not going anywhere. Like it's not the new thing. People still drink the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Hazy IPAs, I think like when breweries are starting up, and it's almost like an uncomfortability thing, like or an inexperienced thing too, like just to like go to the new thing, keep trying new shit. Like your brewery's too small, you don't have everything you need to do. Like you can't brew Pilsner or Cal, so like let's figure out this like new cool thing, really neat. And it has to come full circle eventually. You can do a bit of everything. Like we're still gonna do weird shit that's kind of like fun, throw a bunch of things into a beer, a bunch of fruit and vanilla, but like I think the beers that we find the most endearing are the ones that we can just constantly go back to. And hopefully we have like customers that and fans that sort of same way, like us.
I think that last part we lost you a little bit, but I think you were saying you like that that maybe your customers feel the same way, that they can always come back and get the same thing. Is that basically what you said? You getting us there? I think it's cutting out a bit.
You know, it's worth. I'll just jump in here while
Yeah.
Scott's connection catches up. But you know, you're having Matt on next episode from Tooth and Nail, and like, you know, it's worth pointing out that definitely in our market, like, I think there was a lightning bolt that went through everybody the first time they had Vim and Vigor. You know, like just to really understand what the potential of like a fresh, delicious lager really could be. So, full credit to Matt. I think he makes one of some of the most outstanding beer anywhere, and the fact that he's in our hometown. And we get it so fresh on the regular has been like a real treat for a long, long time. So
that's a great point. Like how lucky are we to have that just down the road from us, and like a world-class Pilsner like that brewed locally. It's it's amazing. And while we're on the subject of lagers, you guys just in the past week had made a post on Instagram, which kind of really blew up and got a lot of attention for when it was getting shared around. Was the one with Pat holding up the sign to say stop rating well-made lagers under 4 stars on Untappd. I wanted to ask you guys if there was was there a particular instance that spawned that, a repeated instance, and you got and someone just got fed up, or was there a story there?
Scott dropped off at a precipitous moment.
Right.
Here.
He'll be back.
Oh no.
No, listen, I mean, it was funny. I actually had a conversation with Randy, who handles our Instagram feed and takes all of our photos and everything, and it was sort of early after the post, and I just sort of looked at him and I said, I hope you know what you're doing, man. I sort of feel like it's the third rail for a brewery to talk about Untappd ever. Just never a great idea. So I mean, it was obviously, I think it struck a nerve and definitely generated a lot of interest and passion. And, Scott, I think we'll probably have a more useful insight into the feeling that kind of generated the post. But, I think at the end of the day, the things we love about lager are subtle. And I think there's a way sometimes that if you're looking for something compelling and interesting and something that's going to generate, strong feelings, like unless you're looking for it in lager, it's easy to kind of overlook it. I mean, we all overlooked them for years. So I totally understand that way of thinking. And I don't know if it's a matter of time or whatever, but certainly the more lager I drink, like Vim and Vigor, the easier it is to get excited about it. So,
yeah,
Scotty, you have anything to add about lager?
Is he frozen again? Oh, he's having some rough luck.
I think he might be.
We'll grab him back on that in a sec, because I will be curious, because it was really funny seeing some of the the comments were wide ranging and quite entertaining from people getting a little upset about it. I mean, obviously you're right. I never thought of that. Like the breweries talking about Untappd ratings is a little touchy, probably for some folks. But I think that it was.
I think the spirit that fed the post though was really less about us and our lager and more about a love of lager generally. And I think that's the way. So it was in good jest.
I don't think people took it the wrong way, except those people that like, well, I drink what I want. I'll rate it how I want. I'm like, okay, bro, it's not the idea, but sure, whatever makes you happy.
That's it.
Yeah, I think the reception to it was largely positive. Like most of the comments that I were seeing were along the lines of someone had to say it, and yes, this absolutely, and that was certainly my feeling as well, because it prompted me to kind of take a look through some of the average ratings on some excellent lagers. Like looking up Civic Pils, and I'm seeing like 3.6, Vim and Vigor 3.7, Des Moines from Saint-Baron is like 3.6 as well. That's fucking ridiculous. These are all top-notch lagers, and and really just not getting the love, correlating to their quality.
I mean, Scott looks like he's back now, so I'll let him speak to this. But I definitely think there's something for people who make these beers, just like the appreciation that you get after you do them a few times for what goes into them. there is something about finesse and patience that it is different than making other kinds of beer. But Scott probably knows that better than I do.
Oh, we can't hear you, bro. Are you muted, maybe? Pull the headphones out, see if that works. No.
Are we back?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, we hear you now.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, guys.
It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Lagers take a lot of time, and when they come out really good, they're great. Some of my favorite beers that I've had have just absolutely blown me away, and they're simple. They're made with 4 ingredients, and I'll go back to them. I'll keep going back to them. And like that, I think warrants a pretty high rating. But it's not like this big pop, wow, exciting thing. Has the most vanilla is going to get the closest to 5 stars. It's just a bit more or less reality of Untappd. And I don't know. I don't even look at it too much. Like we get like maybe a couple hundred ratings per new beer that we do. Like that's not indicative of the population that actually enjoys it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is super interesting though, just to even think about that side of it, because it's like the people who are rating it more than the average person who you guys serve a community. It's not just a bunch of beer nerds. Like you guys are just people who like drinking good beer and may not participate in the community or scene or whatever you want to call it. So they're not there.
Yeah, I feel like I see that more like the sort of. I don't think there's a more unloved beer on Untappd that we make than Town and Country, which is like our like a blonde ale we've been making from the start. But like in so many ways, I'm like so proud of that beer and like what Scott and the team have made of it. And like when I think about like a can that 50 years from now, I want to look exactly the same. And I dream of it being in someone's fridge and being someone's beer. It's that beer for me. So I don't know. And you know what? A lot of people keep buying that beer. There's a reason we keep making it. So, it's not driving Untappd ratings and none of us care. So there is something about that too, where it's like, I think everything has its place, but it isn't the be all and end all. I can tell you in our first months of operating though, you would be a mile high on every great rating and you would be devastated in the cellar with every bad rating and you'd feel unworthy. And I'm grateful that I had the good sense to delete the app after a couple months and just give my heart a break. Couldn't take it anymore.
I respect that. It can't be easy. I never really thought of it in that perspective, because I think people do like completely forget that there are people behind these beers. Like it's not just some sort of faceless machine like a macro. It's small businesses pouring, like you said, their heart and soul into these damn things. So, if you are looking at those ratings and people are like, oh, don't like lagers, one. Like, why you drink? Like that type of ridiculousness that like, but then on the other side, we hear from a lot of people who work in breweries. They're like, oh, yeah, people come in. They're like, oh, they go, what do you need? I'm like, oh, give me a sec. Let me take a look. And they check their Untappd ratings and now I don't drink anything less than 4 stars or whatever. And they refuse to order it. So it kind of can impact the purchasing patterns of certain individuals.
Yeah, and what scares me even more than than consumers checking Untappd is if you sometimes hear stories about like bars or restaurants like using that as a criteria for like what kegs to put to put on their lines. Like that's something that would that would worry me even more. It's so many people are like using the app thinking like, okay, well, like this was my impression. It's based on my personal taste. So for me, it's 3 out of 5, and they don't give it much more thought than that. It's it's unfortunately given I hope this is too wide, but there's definitely cases where it's given more weight than it ought to.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. Is that a thing though? Do bars and restaurants do that? Are you just hypothesizing?
This is something that I've seen in some comments and in certain Twitter threads that that have been in response to it. So it's not this is not like anything concrete that I've seen. And like I say, I hope it's not too widespread if it's happening at all. But like it's worrisome to to even think of a consumer picking based on that. And if it goes further than that to the point of like wholesale purchasing, like that would be even more troublesome.
That's criminal. That's ridiculous. That's the most craziest thing I've ever heard with Untappd. God, I hope that's not true, man. Like that's upsetting. Fuck. I got a couple comments. Let me just get to those real quick.
Like,
here you go. What are you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, like, you know, I don't give a fuck what Untappd says. This is a goddamn delicious lager.
Yeah, man. Fuck 'em. I just love that you guys brought attention to it, and it was, you know what, it caused some conversation, and really that's what it's all about, positive or negative, right? And you guys were causing that, which is super cool. Tiff, Liquid Happiness says, Nate's new house looking fire in the background. Yeah, it is. Look at that. Slick. Look at him. Balling out here. Daniel from Vancouver.
Thanks, Tiff.
Beer's all fire. Dan, have you had much from Dominion? I hope so. Tiff saying, what up? Made sure. Everyone go check out dominioncity.ca. Order your beer. Get your merch. Some of the most fire merch. Hey, what's this say? I wear this hat almost more than any other hat. I got it on the day we did our last podcast. It's all broken at the thing here because I wear it so much. It makes me happy.
I was gonna say it's in good shape for 4 years, man. I'm impressed.
It's not bad. But this, I broke the little, like, I guess taking it off the little thing there, but it's fresh, mate. It's fresh. I like wearing it overseas because it's got the real abundant maple leaf on there to let people know. Back when we could travel. Remember those days? If you do, it was a while ago. Tiff was talking about the post. It was so good. I love whoever's managing the feeds. It was Randy, top-notch content production. We should definitely talk about that. I don't remember if we talked about it on the first one, but your branding and your the way you execute social is just exceptional. So it was the name Randy, and yes, it was Randy. And Andrew in the building. Fluffy paws. Lager is life. Damn right it is, Andrew. I love Andrew. He's such a champion. I haven't seen him forever.
He's a good man.
Andrew's great.
He is, right? Nate, what are we doing next? Or what do we do? Josh, do you want to tell us what to do? What's the deal?
Nope. No, I will follow where you go. Yeah.
Well, I do want to, just for nostalgia's sake, to do Paper Salesman in this episode because we did have it in the last one, and that was one of probably my first favorite beer from you guys. So that would be. Do you remember what happened in that last one? That was the day after the CBAs, and you guys had the Brewers brunch, but like everyone went the night before and then got too drunk to come to the Brewers brunch.
I remember.
Yeah, I remember that. I was real nauseous the whole time.
Yeah, man, that was like we were all just like. Scott was like vomiting blood the night before, and like.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was so rough. I was sick as a dog. I had like a really bad flu, and I paid for the combination and done all this stuff. I was like, fuck, I guess I gotta go, and I just had to push through it, and it's a good time.
You guys seemed fresh as a daisy, and I was like, oh my god, they actually came.
Oh man,
we have to do this now.
Yeah. Sorry about that, bro. The best part was
we got going.
It was right. It usually is. You get a beer or something in you, and I remember like looking at the clip, and we were both like took a sip, and we're like, all right, now we're feeling a bit better. Like, yeah, I don't participate in that type of stuff too much these days, but you know, got to behave. So paper salesman's okay, Nate? You cool with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, you go first. I'll keep talking. And
Do you have to go get yours?
Yeah, I do, but we can switch. You go first. Oh, paper.
All right.
I think it's in the little fridge. Tiff's gonna get mine. That's an easy. Thank you. So should we touch on the history stuff, or should we just tell people to go listen to that, and then we'll just catch up on what's happened since? Sorry, should we catch up?
Yeah, it's
okay. Tiff reckons. Should touch on it. Said we should touch on it. She's in charge.
all right.
So you don't have to take too long, and then we'll just really catch up on what happened, just like how the brewery came about. You guys, beer histories, and then we'll cover what's really been happening since people have heard from you last year. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I joke that we have the most unoriginal origin story in craft beer. Just a couple of white dudes making beer in their backyard because they're bored at their job. But no, I mean the more interesting thing I think is like I think we underappreciated early on what being community built really meant. When we started it, we did not have the cash to do anything approaching what it was going to take to do it, and it really was like about 100 of our closest friends who dug into their pockets and came up with, what was really like an outstanding amount of money, $500, $1,000 each, and that got us started and got us with what we had, put it together. Was able to like get the doors open about 8 months later. I think well before we were open, Scott wandered in the door and wanted to help and wanted to be part of it, and he's never left since. And really, I think like the story of our beer has really been like, Scott's journey on this as well. So I think like the team we have now is just like good energy, good people. We've been really, really, really blessed with like amazing people to come around what we do. And I don't know, man, it's like I won the lottery. I just get to have fun. I get to go to work with fun people and do cool stuff. And we can have an idea on Monday and we can slap it on a glass by Friday, and maybe someone will buy it next week. And it's like, it's very rewarding. So, yeah, honestly.
Did you want to add to that, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of, that's sort of how it started. That is true. I pretty much did wander in the door. So I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't really. We have like a team of people that knows a lot better, a lot more about this stuff than I do. But anyways, we've been able to have a lot of fun and make a lot of different beer, and that's like I feel pretty lucky that that's our scenario, because there's not a lot of breweries that you can just sort of like have carte blanche and just like try and make new stuff as much as you possibly can. So we've sort of, we've tweaked a lot of things along the way, but we started with an idea that we wanted to make a lot of different beers, and we've just sort of been cruising down that path for the last however many years.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's been so cool to watch you guys from that time, and just sort of, meeting you guys then and seeing you guys consistently over the years, and coming by and seeing the events and seeing the things you've done. You guys are one of like I'm not boosting because you're sitting in front of me, but you guys are some of the coolest people, the best team, and some of the best beers, the best like branding, like your whole ethos. That's what you were talking about, Josh. You won the lottery because you attracted that shit. Like you put that out there into the universe, and this is what came back to you guys. Like I'm gonna get once we get a few beers, I'm gonna be gushing. Don't worry. But no, I really see that. You guys have really done. You've really put together something genuinely special. It really speaks to everything you guys have done. It's super cool. I think we should definitely talk about all the stuff in between, because I feel like people need a bit more context. But this shit, dude, this is. I feel like this is like keeps getting better. Like, can we just touch on this real quick?
It really does, I think.
Yeah, my God.
Okay, he's too modest to say it, but I will say this.
Indeed.
The first time we made this beer, it was really. I think maybe the grain bill was somewhat similar. I think that's the most that could be said about the first iteration of this beer. And I was emotionally attached to like the concept, but anyway, I think at a certain moment, Scott turned to me and said, "You know what? I think we can make this beer better." And like, I think we were very lucky that he had the idea to do it, and I'm glad that I told him to go do it. But at the end of the day, like that beer does keep getting better, and I think the mission is like all of our beers should keep getting better. And I mean, that was like a bit of a light bulb moment kind of around the time we first talked. I think there was part of me that thought like, we own this brewery, consistency needs to be everything. Like you can almost kind of like grasp too tightly that like, you got to keep control of every recipe and every decision. And I think, one of the best decisions we ever made was find good, competent people who care and like empower them to make you constantly better. So, I think the team that we have now is doing that. But long way of saying, I think this is the best batch of Papier ever.
Shouts to Jesse, what a legend. I would say from the last time I tried this, I don't know. I feel like it's just such a fantastic. Was it 5.6? What's the hop bill on this bad boy?
It's Mosaic and Galaxy. Pretty much 50-50. Like it's all Mosaic in the Whirlpool, and then we just heavily dry hop it with Mosaic, Cryo, and Galaxy.
glorious. It's just like
And
And
that's
it's
a great
actually
combo.
go on.
It's kind of funny. We haven't changed that recipe since we first made it.
way.
It's actually stayed the same, pretty much identical. So we've been brewing it for like maybe 5 years, and the recipe stayed the same. The beer keeps getting. I think this is one of my favorite batches of Paper Salesman, but it's like our processing is just getting so much better, and we're learning tons as we go. So like hopefully it keeps getting better, but I like having it around quite a bit.
I can see why. It's just such an exceptional, it's like somewhat I'm gonna say flagship. I don't know if potentially it's a flagship or a core range, or is it just something that you bring back regularly?
Yeah, it's around 3 or 4
We
times
do
a
it
year.
like quarterly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So when people grab it, you got to go make sure you grab, get your half a case, get your case of this stuff, because you're gonna have to sit on it for a bit.
I mean, I have to say that, like, if you were to tell Scott and I in 2017 that we'd have a forecast for what we were going to make 3 months from now, by 2021, we'd be pretty impressed with ourselves. So the fact that we even know we're going to make it sort of quarterly is a big deal.
Hey, man. Growth.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm just going to come back for a second to to the growth that you guys have had over the years. I'm fortunate to have you guys as one one of my locals, and it's and I've come back pretty regularly over the years, and I've seen the evolution from a consumer's perspective. I'm remembering back to when I'd be coming by and taking away a couple of small growlers every time, to the odd rare bottle release, to the first time Town and Country got its can release, and that was a huge deal because at that time almost no one in Ottawa was of the small breweries were canning anything, so that was a pretty big deal to have that come out in a can release. And then when Sunsplit came out was a pretty big deal at the time, because again, you guys were one of the first in Ottawa. You were probably the first that I remember doing a New England IPA when it was kind of just on the cusp of exploding everywhere. And this was right around the time that Craig and I started talking regularly, and kind of just kind of started becoming friends and started trading and whatnot.
Yes, you gave me my first growler.
Craig probably remember. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And and you remember the evolution from that first growler to when it was first canned as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Even this was one of the first.
Yeah.
I think Sunsplit might have come just before this. Is that accurate?
Yeah, just before.
Yep. And then this came out, and then sorry, Nate, I'll let you continue. But yes, I remember being like, wow, at the time, we'd only just sort of, Nate, you're spot on. We would just get, that's why we were so obsessed with it, because we couldn't get hold of it. So we were here in Montreal. There wasn't really anything to speak of. In Toronto, that's probably Bellwoods and a couple other little things, but not a lot. So you guys doing that was such a big deal. So yes, continue. And I very, very much remember I think we must have traded beforehand, because it came up in my Facebook memories like a week ago or something. And it was I forgot actually before that's when they had it the first time. In the growler, which was amazing. So that was probably like a year before the canning, maybe even.
Yep, something like that. Yeah. Oh. No, I was but just to not to ramble on too long, but just to say, the growth over the years has just been it's just been wonderful to see. And as Craig said, you guys are just some of the most chill and positive people in the industry. The two of you, and also just your entire team. The tap room has always been a super positive experience. Anyone who walks in your doors, and whoever they talk to behind the counter, it's always just a great, relaxed, really positive experience, and that is one thing that has been absolutely consistent throughout your entire run, and the beer just keeps getting better.
Facts.
Well, thanks, guys. We're not going to fit through the doorway on the way out of this one, but appreciate all the support. I think we are frankly lucky to have had Nate as long as we have. I think you probably brought us more attention than we ever appreciated early on. So appreciate you and the support you've given us. But yeah, no, it's a cool journey, man. And at this point, to have like a solid core of people who've been on it with us for a while is very rewarding and very cool. Yeah, no, it's interesting though. We're kind of at a point where, like, when it comes to growth, we feel like maybe we're sort of growthed out. Like, the vision now is really like, if we can be the brewery scale that we are today, and really kind of continue what's sort of happening at the moment, which is like selling most of what we make very close to the brewery or as directly from the brewery as possible. There's a sustainable business for us doing that leaves us a free hand to continue to kind of make beer that we and the team want to make with a real free hand. Frankly, we're not tied to a whole lot of really tough external pressures to like make the same thing all the time, and that served us well over the years. But really, it's like, I think now the things we get most excited about when we think about like investing in the brewery is like, how do we keep improving quality? How do we keep improving experience? Like, it's very, actually, I get super inspired talking to Cal and Shabs, who are on our taproom team. Like, they just genuinely spend a lot of time thinking about how you're going to feel when you show up, and they really care about it. So when you have little pockets of people throughout a business that like really deeply care about what they're doing, sales guys caring about how we take care of people who are having a hard year right now is another example. That is the making of a good thing. So we just realized it doesn't necessarily need to get bigger than it is, but there are ways we can obviously keep making it better.
I love that. That's a bar right there, man. It's a bar. Jesse's saying they even sent a grumbler to DDB, the Don't Drink Beer. And Andrew thought it might have been a howler. That's pretty good. I think he was referring to Sunsplit when he said that. Did you actually send a growler to those guys?
He reviewed it, and
cool.
Let me tell you, it was poetry. You should go back in the archive to find that. It was poetry. Yeah, I think that was a moment.
He's a funny guy.
He called it Lebanese smegma, actually.
That's what he called it?
Oh my God.
That's hyper specific.
Yeah. It was really cool, actually. We thought it was like the biggest compliment.
That's Lebanese. I forgot what smegma was. We used to say that in high school. I forgot what that word means. So I have to maybe Urban Dictionary that.
It's probably best we don't talk about it too much.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be problematic. People would be reporting us for that. So as far as like it's not even as much growth over the years as like the changes. So like I remember in 2017 we were sitting in the larger production brewery. That's if you're staring at the bar to the left in there. At the time there were you just got it and you were just chucking fermenters and stuff in there. I think there were a bunch of things that were still in like the plastic wrap. Like I don't think it had even been set up yet, the brew house and stuff from memory. And then
it was pretty fresh for sure.
Super fresh then. And I think then we were back again, well, for a lengthier time. In 2019 for Ren's thing, I think it was like fully up and running. So as far as like the scope and the size, like you were saying, it's not so much about that, but like I think the thing that really marks you guys, there's a creativity in the way that you approach things, which maybe we don't know, Nate, if you want to touch, if you want to get into that now, the stuff that happened during the last year and the way that you guys approach that, and the way that you guys approach the community and how much you care about the community. I think those two things really kind of speak to who you are as a business, as far as, you know, the diversity scholarship with Niagara Brewing College and University and all those other, I'm sure there's a bunch I don't even know about, but different, what do you call them? Just like things that you guys are doing and putting that positive energy to give back to the people that, you know, give to you. And I think that's been a consistent thing since I've been following you guys. So it'd be cool to maybe get into some of that. Jesse just says, what about DDB's dogs? Is that don't worry about it?
Don't worry about
it. We'll talk about it off air. Okay. Nate, do you want to maybe ask any, because I know we were talking about that earlier, as far as this stuff, do you want to touch on maybe we could sort of skip forward to the last sort of year, since that's a very interesting time. There's a whole bunch to talk about as far as what you guys have been up to.
Yeah, we can talk about that because that was one of the things that we wanted to talk about, and it's a particularly interesting thing in like in your guys' case because in my view, you guys were kind of one of the leaders in Ontario in like in your response to to how things kicked off literally almost a year ago, like when things were starting to look dicey. And if I remember right, I think you may have even been ahead of a couple of the government mandated shutdowns. And in going a bit further than what the laws required. Can you talk about what kind of led your decision making process and how you guys kind of decided how you were going to what led you to those decisions to to kind of take the measures that you did that were over and beyond what the government required in terms of you guys shutting down and how you continue to operate?
I appreciate the way you framed the question. There's nothing worse than a small business person ranting about pivoting. It's the most boring conversation to be had these days. So I'm going to try and spare you all that. But I think the way you've asked the question is interesting. So I'll try my best to answer it. Yeah, it was like a year ago. It was like this gaping hole opened in the earth beneath us. And to be honest with you, I think we fumbled around for at least a bit at the beginning. And there were conversations that we had as a team. I remember there were members on our team who were not comfortable that we were planning to still be open, to have people coming in to buy beer at the bar. Knowing like that we were going to close, like in my heart, I was like, there's no way we're going to be open Monday. And there was like a birthday party in the tap room on a Saturday. And we're dragging like a pallet out to the side of the building where we're setting up a drive-through. And meanwhile, the tap room is packed. And we're like, oh my God, this is just not good. And of course, there's so much we didn't understand or know at the time. But I think we wanted to get through it. I think that was the biggest early motivator, to sort of realize that like if you go to zero, there's not really a lot of runway to ever get open again. And there's over 20 people who come to work at that building every day. So you definitely feel a certain obligation to not fuck it up. And on the other hand, you don't just want to like try to pretend like nothing's happening and just expect that people who are human beings and are living through one of the most tumultuous moments of their life, you don't just want to expect that they just snap to and keep working like nothing else is going on. And you have to be up to the fact that it's hard and stressful and scary and frightening, and that you don't even know what's happening. So it was a balance of like, we need to survive and we need to be good and do right by our people. And frankly, I'm not, we were never interested in being a super spreader event. So I think, we wanted to leave a wide berth, not knowing what was really going on or what the right thing to do was, to try to not be part of the problem. And I think we still feel that way. I mean, we haven't been open ever since. We haven't served a beer in a year now. So, I think we continue to kind of be probably too cautious for some people. And, I think we'll feel really good when the day comes that we pour beer again for somebody. So I'm hopeful it's not too long from now.
That's amazing, man. I had no idea that you guys actually made that proactive decision to stay closed the whole time.
To this day, you can swing by our drive-through, or we can drive it to your house. But the only way you get a beer is in a can these days.
Okay. Was that from an abundance of caution, or maybe a distrust in the government sort of thing, or just sort of rather taking it into your own hands rather than like waiting to be dictated to?
Definitely, I think there's a certain amount of it that just feels like you have more control. I really feel for people who've been on the roller coaster of gotta close. Okay, you can open again. But yeah, I just think that's really difficult on people, and it's difficult on a team, and it's hard to plan. And frankly, it's hard to make a buck, I think, when you are constantly changing around. So to have been fortunate to find something that was going to work relatively early on. And for us, that was like, we sort of looked at each other and said, is it gauche of us to offer to drive beer to your house? Do we look like we're taking advantage of a situation? Like that was a real discussion, right?
Wow.
But that's been our business now for a year, and I'm grateful that we found that as quickly as we could, and we found a way to get it done. But when we found that was working, I think we just kind of decided, let's not mess with this and start into a bunch of roads that we're going to have to turn back on quickly. And, the idea of bringing people back to have them go away again was just something we never wanted to do. So other than a brief moment where a couple people put their hands up to stop coming to work, we've been able to keep everybody on the team working, not necessarily doing the job they were hired for, but they're working and they're on the team. And that feels very good.
I was about to ask that. That's amazing.
That's amazing to hear that that you guys have been able to keep to keep everyone working. I know that definitely hasn't been the case for everyone in this industry. That's really impressive that you guys have been able to do that. And for me, the importance that you guys put on keeping your staff safe and keeping keeping your customers safe really says a lot about the people you are and kind of what what your priorities in your in the decisions that you make as a business. And I personally love to see that that it's been able to work, that the doorstop delivery has been able to work, the drive-through system that you guys have got going on is just brilliant. And it's one of those things of when we see those kinds of priorities put at the forefront, it's we really can't wait to come out the other side of this and be able to walk in the front door and and have a beer at your bar again when it's safe to do so.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we're looking forward to having you back. We are planning to have an outdoor beer garden this year, which I'm excited about. So the game plan is by May, whatever restrictions are at the time, we'll live with them. But to have some kind of limited outdoor seating. And be able to sell you a beer again. So, that's thrilling to think about.
That's cool. Something to look forward to, right?
Yeah.
Just a real quick couple really nice, before you jump in there, Nate, a couple good comments. This is something super cool. Tiff is like, class act these men, wonderful humans. Could not agree more. This is a cool one. Rick Parent, shouts to Rick, he comes through occasionally. He says, when doing our family budget, there was simply no hiding the insane amount of Dominion City purchases I have made from my wife. Fortunate to have had every single release since moving to Ottawa in 2018. Absolutely love.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Absolutely love what the team is producing and the charitable hooks towards the community. A true gem in Ottawa. Well said, sir. Well said.
I just want to say that Rick is the nicest man on Twitter and the nicest man probably on Untappd, I can only assume. But he's a good fellow. So appreciate all your support, man.
That's dope. Rick comes through occasionally. I didn't realize that was the connection. So extra respect, Rick. Thanks, bro. See, this is the shit though, man. All the funnier thing is just that to keep seeing that reiterated, the things that maybe Nate and I talk a lot about this stuff, so we already feel it the same way, and Tiff as well. So the whole team already feels that. But it's extra cool to see someone I don't know say the exact same thing about you guys, and that you guys are truly. I mean, maybe you don't. Maybe you realize. Maybe you don't. The impact that you're having on the community around you. And I know you're all extraordinarily humble and you won't ever sort of take the complete credit for it, but it's I don't know, it's just really cool to see, particularly from a brewery that's a business that you wouldn't necessarily expect to sort of be that community focused. It's never, even though it's about the community, it's just really cool to see because you don't have to do any of these things and you continually do so at an extraordinarily high and dedicated level to service as many different individuals in society that to make things better for them and more accessible and just equitable and fair. And it's just wonderful. And you guys really deserve all the praise you could possibly receive. Rick is a legend from Jersey, which is amazing. We fuck with y'all guys heavy, is what we're saying.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
That's basically what we're saying.
Thanks, guys.
While we're also talking about about kind of how things have changed with the pandemic, and like another new thing in the past year, Friends of the Dominion.
Yeah.
Like that's a big new thing on the scene that that we didn't have before. Can you guys talk about what that was like, starting that up, like how like kind of how you kicked that off, like how you how you decide what you're gonna have there? What was that like, kind of curating that and setting that up?
Well, when it comes to Friends of the Dominion, Jesse and Andrew Farrell are legends, so you should really be beaming them in to talk about this. This is their baby. But
Okay.
I mean, for those people who don't know, what changed with all this was the provincial government in Ontario let us basically sell other people's. If you have a liquor license, you're allowed to sell stuff to go with food. So, food is something we have interpreted broadly to include bags of potato chips. Which is a step above people who, a few friends of ours we know who are just literally sending people away with a single potato with their purchase. But
That's so good.
But this
I'd be
is
stoked with a
the
free
loophole. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's dope. Make your own chips.
But for us, what it's really meant is that like we could have a lot of fun programming a lineup that's like housed on our online shop of beer, wine, and cider from Ontario producers that we admire. So at any given time, we've got a couple dozen releases, stuff that's fresh and cool. Stuff that is not at the LCBO is kind of the only common denominator. It's got to be made in Ontario, and it's got to not be at the LCBO.
Okay.
But other than that, we've had, geez, I don't even know how many different producers have been on there. Maybe Jesse or Farrell know, but it's been really cool, and it's been something we've seen kind of grow month after month after month, and it's like, to say nothing of like very enjoyable just to be able to have like a rotation of cool stuff in my fridge all the time. So it's a bit dangerous.
Yeah, man, I can imagine. Jesse's saying cans of
I'm drinking
space
more
juice.
wine.
You're getting more wine now?
I'm drinking more wine for sure. Yeah, it's been just having and Jesse's really opened my eyes to a lot of different stuff, but it's been very cool to have some really neat stuff come through, and just been really enjoying it. So
I love that, man. Are you doing? You guys getting rosewood and stuff in?
lots of rosewood. Yeah, big fans of what those guys do.
Yeah, man.
Scotty spent a bunch of time at Harvest down at Hinterland. Those guys are good friends as well. Jonas was actually through the brewery today,
Nice.
but very cool to have their stuff around. And it's like people who like interesting beer, they like interesting cider, they like interesting wine, and if they can get it all in one place, and the next time they come, there's something new for them to try. It's like a no-brainer, right? So it's kind of one of these cool things where they've made space for small businesses to kind of play around and try to, and I think it's working, and I think it's the kind of thing probably that's going to become bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh yeah. Jesse saying cans of Space Juice Light. I imagine that's the Barn Cat for sale tomorrow morning, by the way. Or just saying. And
It's just
thanks
saying.
for the tip
Just
there,
saying.
Jesse. I'm going to make note of that.
Please do. And Andrew saying cold cans. Is that a inside joke? Cold cans?
I think it's probably because they drove a mom mobile back from the GTA like for 8 hours today, full of stuff for the Friends of the Dominion shelves. So they're probably a bit punch drunk.
Poor guys.
And the beer's probably cold because it's -15.
Because it's out of control. The thing I was going to actually mention about that was that, if I'm not mistaken, you were cool. Jesse gave us a stat here. Almost 50 different breweries and 30 different wineries. Jesus, that's amazing.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's so cool. So if I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing the post when it first came up, and I remember once again, yet another first. You guys were doing the drive-thru, which was the first thing you did. In the first week, you did the drive-thru, which was insane. I don't even think I saw many other breweries, maybe a few, but like not that many do a drive-thru situation. So already you were innovating there. But this came out of like, you guys were like, oh, we're out of beer. We can't keep up. Like, what the fuck? This is a pandemic and everything's crazy. No one knows, but we can't keep up with the beer. So you're like, all right, let's fill this need by servicing our local area deliveries and our clients that we love, and we want to make sure they still have beer by buying some beer from our friends and then on selling that to everybody else. So, unless you're in Cambridge, you're not going to get Barncat and so on and so forth. So it came from that, which is even cooler because it was sort of a selfless thing where you're like, shit, like we need to service these people. I imagine that it was just like you guys sort of on selling wholesale to retail, so it wouldn't even been a ton of cash in it. So that's why I'm saying it's more selfless, because you're like, well, I want to keep people drinking. And I guess it started a trend. It seems like that was the trend that you guys kicked off.
We definitely were out of beer for a while last spring.
Yeah, I remember.
It was sort of stressful.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, and Scott can speak to this, but I mean, just over a year ago, we did a festival, believe it or not. They had like hundreds of people at the brewery under a tent in February. And we had, breweries from across Ontario, Canada, the United States, and even beer from overseas. But I think one of the really satisfying things over the last couple of years is we've kind of got our feet under us, has been like getting out of the brewery and going and kind of building relationships and getting to know people who are making beer other places, taking inspiration and doing collaborations and that kind of thing. So, I think this felt like a really logical next step. I mean, we had these genuine friendships with people who make stuff that we really enjoy. And like when the leash came off that we were actually allowed to buy and sell it, it felt like, yeah, like, of course I want to sell Willibald and we want to have Barncat around. And I think we're all just like stoked to be able to get back to going to other breweries and having people into our place again.
That's dope. That's so cool. Jesse's also saying the Willibald triple IPA. So tomorrow morning's a big one, guys. Set your alarms. It's not a joke out here.
Yeah, probably not too early, I'm thinking.
What is it? What time does it go live? Like noon or something? For people who want to go cop?
Yeah, wait for the next comment.
Yeah. Okay, Jesse will tell us. This is great. This is very convenient.
This is good to have this tip line here.
Yeah, right. Oh, and then Pharrell, what's he saying? He's saying Van Begini. He's such a zany prick. I love Andrew, man. He's such a funny prick. Yeah, no, that's been like a really cool thing, and it's has it been cool to see other people sort of follow suit? I mean, I imagine it came from that. I really just feel like you guys were doing it first. Everyone almost seemed like stunned with what was happening. And then you guys just immediately took action and had the drive-through. And I really like the way that you promote it, because I remember talking about it like that week or the next week on the podcast, whatever we were doing at the time. I can't even remember, probably this. And being like, yo, they're going to turn up, and then you press the trunk button and it opens it up, and they're going to put, with gloves on, the beer in the trunk, and then close your trunk, and then you just drive off and you just show them your order number. You don't have to breathe on anyone, and like everything's good. It was just like such a like you were saying, Josh, before, like no one knew what was going on, and we were all like, we weren't wearing masks at the time. We were just sanitizing a lot and not really thinking about it. And this was sort of like, oh, it was just a solution that made complete sense, and that continued to make sense as we got more information. So that was super cool. And then obviously doing this served multiple purposes. So was it cool for you both to be able to see other people taking on that, or did you attribute other people doing the same thing to what you kicked off?
I'm sure everybody was kind of in a scramble to figure out whatever they could. I mean, we definitely are lucky that we have a horseshoe-shaped parking lot around our building. So, I don't want to overstate the genius that went into this idea. It's like, oh, we can drive around this building. So, we were fortunate in some respects, but yeah, I think we were just, what, like everybody would probably admit at this point, if nothing else, this last year has forced a lot of consideration, right? Like a re-examination of things you thought you knew, stuff you didn't think you could do. You really kind of have to question because you don't have a choice. You have to figure it out. So I think everybody's been doing that, and frankly, we've taken lots of inspiration. We're actually at a pop-up within a pop-up to this weekend in Toronto. Friends of ours at Fairweather Brewery have kind of built a residency at a wine bar in Little Tibet, and they're kind enough to host a Dominion City can pop-up in Toronto. So there's no shortage of people coming up with creative ways to share what they do, and frankly, these are things that they couldn't have done a year ago. So I think there's just kind of a neat energy. And patios across Ottawa last year, Bar Lupulus, I know you guys both know that place, and a bunch of your listeners probably do too.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, they did a beautiful job expanding their patio, Anthony over there did a lot of work to kind of build something that works in this environment. And, I think we're all really admired what he did there.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great. They really did do a good job like with that patio. It's one of those places that like that was one of the few places that I went to last summer to to hit up a few patios. It was one of those ones that you really did feel like you did feel safe at. Like you didn't feel nervous there. You really felt like everything that they did to set that up was very deliberate. And they're another one who have set up a really good collection of stuff from around the province that you can get there. Between you guys and them, we can there's almost nothing we can't get here. It's pretty great.
It's very cool, man.
What a time to be alive,
right?
Indeed.
It's cool to see that because
Craig,
Go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
So I was just going to say, are we? Is it about time for us to get another beer?
Damn right it is.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Is it whose turn? And you know what, Nate? It's your turn because I picked Paper Salesman.
All right. Why don't we go IPA this time? And let's bust out something new. Why don't we go Land of Hope?
Land of Hope. Bear, would you rather get a beer called Land of Hope? I'm not sure which fridge it is. Is it small or big?
It's one of the short cans.
Sure.
Little one.
Little one. I actually don't know, but all the ones in the small fridge are at the front, so you can take a quick squeeze. Got a couple quick comments on this one. Rick is saying we'll need to stop by tomorrow for some of that Barncat and Willibald. Jesse's saying I'll be up at 5:30, so why not 5:30?
You know what? That's true. He will be.
Right? He will be. Why would he?
Oh yeah.
What's it called again, Josh? Land of Hope.
Land of Hope. Yep.
Land of Hope. What color is it?
Peach.
It's a nice little peachy apricot.
Peach color. Steph is looking for. I didn't really tell her where to look, and she's like, "Where is this damn beer?"
I'll find it.
She'll find it. Don't worry. She's a sleuth. Why is Jesse? Jesse, why are you up at 5:30? That's crazy talk. I don't like hearing that. Bruce Morris. Bruce is a bloody legend, Canadian who lives in Dallas, Texas, and luckily he's all safe from all the craziness out there. He says, I think the pandemic has transformed or re-energized the marketing efforts of the breweries. The connection to the brewheads has become stronger. I think you're right, man. Do you guys have any thoughts on that comment at all?
I mean, I don't know, Scott, you want to field that one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, if you think about, there's not really many storefronts you can just walk into anymore. So you have to take your marketing to a different you have to take your marketing down a different path, right? Like people can only see you through social media. They can only see you through your website, like a storefront with just a table and you can buy beer and leave. So you have to get pretty creative. That's for sure. I don't know. People got a lot of time on their hands these days. So if brewheads are more connected to them, like, I don't know, there's lots of people doing cool stuff all the time. Like if these guys are more connected now, like that's great. I don't know what that would be. Like we're sort of doing stuff the same way we've always been doing it. Yeah, I mean, it might mean that people have to have an initiative to have a stronger social media presence or better website, but I don't know. Outside of that, we're just doing what we were doing.
I like that though. I think you made a really good point, man. Because something that Tiff and I, as people who own a marketing agency or social media agency, is that basically the only way people are going to find out about new products is via social media and all digital efforts. Everything else that was sort of physical prior to that, walking into a bar, seeing a tap, seeing a chalkboard, LCBO to a degree is obviously still there. Is kind of out the window. So it's really that connection to the community that's formed via social media has probably become more and more important now for breweries to actually lean into and really, because not everyone was doing it. You guys have an exception, like Tiff was saying before, with what Randy's doing is just exceptional on your. We always comment that, and like I think we've told you in person in the past that we use you guys as this is what brewery social media should look like. Like you guys are just A1 with it. It's really important that's continued. That community growth continues through there, and that interaction and engagement. And I know that Randy's really good with that, reposting and commenting on stuff and everything. It's just it's a totally different time, and a lot of breweries have had to. You guys were already good, already fantastic. Sorry, not everyone was sort of taking it that serious, and then all of a sudden there's probably like quite a steep learning curve where they're like, oh shit, like now what are we gonna do? We're gonna have to really double down.
I mean, I think back to when we built our website in. I guess it was the fall of 2018. I don't remember now, but when we built it, literally, I remember our designer, Ryan, called me up and he was like, "You want to like sell beer on this website?" Or it was an afterthought. Like it was, right. We were like, "Yeah, I guess we could like make it a store." I don't think anyone's going to buy it, but sure. And the fact that last summer we totally stripped everything under the hood down and rebuilt it, so all the guts got like improved. But we had something that on day one worked, which was a huge help. I'm really grateful that he suggested it.
Sorry, I have to keep that in front of you guys. That's a really good point. I'm gonna keep doing this all night. I had paper sales before, so I didn't have to take the photo. The fact that a lot of breweries didn't have the website and they had to scramble to be like, all right, well, this is how we're going to be able to sell beer in Ontario now, because obviously here in Quebec we can't do that. Breweries here don't have that option. In Ontario at the very least, I do like that. As much as both governments have dropped significant balls along the way, Ontario has been able to do the things like the Friends of Dominion type of stuff, where most of the time here I don't believe that's an option. And then on top of that, you guys have been able to sell direct, which is just such a phenomenal lifesaver. I think it's just so cool that.
Oh yeah, I honestly at this point, I don't know how anybody in Quebec's making a go of it. It's just damned impressive that people are hanging on and finding a way, because that's huge, right? The ability to sell you something and bring it to you has really been our whole business now for a year. So grateful for that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, obviously, plus the pickup, but between those two, that's really it, right?
Yeah, between those, that's it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
And I mean, I'm not blowing smoke when I say this. I think we have the best fans anywhere. Like, I think our folks are engaged, and we try to make sure that we do things that like keep them in mind, and that feel there's a bit of meaning or purpose behind what we're doing that's beyond just serving ourselves as well. And I think that has connected with people. But
yes,
honestly, man, like I think about this last year, and like the number of people who continue to let me know that they're buying from us because they love the beer, they love the product, but they believe in us and they want us to be around. They want us to do well, and they want us to be there on the other side of this thing. I mean, I've been hearing that for a year now, and the thing is, it's like literally worked. Like, it's literally the reason why everyone's still working and we're able to keep doing what we're doing is because we have this like really amazing group of people who are pulling for us and vote with their wallets, show up at our drive-thru. It's amazing. So
cool.
I'd be remiss if I didn't like note that, because we just have the best people.
Yeah, man. Both inside and out. It all tracks it, man. That's all the energy. You guys are putting it out there. You getting the staff. You're getting the fire customers. Shit, what else? What else do you need? Can we just really quickly touch on this Land of Hope, glorious little peach gem right here, which from what I understand is 100% Simcoe, according to my good friends on Untappd. I'm going to give it 3.75.
Untappd is right.
Cheers, guys.
It's like all Simcoe.
I would never give a Dominion City less than 4. All right, don't ever think that would happen.
Never.
Okay, in your life. Sorry, Scott. Please continue. I apologize for Nathan's rudeness.
No, it's good. It's an all Simcoe IPA. Like it's got oats in it, like most of ours. It just so happens this time we used all Simcoe. Simcoe's kind of like at its best, I think it's like pineapple juice with just like this beefy dankness to it. Like
That's what it is.
It should be a hop that's just like pungent. So, anyways, yeah, we haven't done a ton of all Simcoe IPAs, so this was a really nice experiment. But I think it came out all right. And showcasing both sides of Simcoe, that big tropical fruit and that like big grassy dankness on the other side of it too.
That's I was just like when taking my my little notes, but I didn't even pick the dankness. I was like, I'm missing something here. That's what it was. I do like that because it's such a tropical, fruity, like real smooth, like New England, but it's got this wicked dank that just gives it this kind of like whole other side to it that you probably wouldn't expect from someone like Simcoe. That's such an aromatic, like tropical hop.
Yeah, Simcoe's a big hop. It's like very oily, very resiny, and what I like about like New England IPAs and hazy IPAs is like the yeast profile takes what would usually be like an overly dank hop and can really showcase the fruity side of it. And I think like this is a pretty good case of that. Like if we do beer with really clean ale, something that would ferment like a blonde ale, it wouldn't come out like nearly the same way. But if you take a nice fruity sort of they can take it away and turn it into something else. It can really like amplify these tropical notes and showcase the hop in a different way. So Simcoe is one of those ones like you can put it into like a super dank West Coast IPA. Like that's where the popularity came from. You know, think like Russian River, like bitter, aromatic, grassy IPAs, and then or you could also use it in like a big juicy IPA, and it could be extremely tropical. So it's really versatile. We've been using it a lot more lately, and it's a classic, but we haven't used a ton of it. But lately it's in high rotation.
Love it. I don't think
it's one of those ones that doesn't get a lot of spotlight as a solo hop. So it's great to have something like this to showcase all of the notes that you highlighted there. It's a beautiful hop.
I was about to say literally the exact same thing, that like I don't recall many all Simcoe beers, but it's usually like in a melange or whatever, and I wasn't aware that it had that resiny dank side. I always just thought it was, when I think Simcoe, I think this, you know, pineapple passion fruit type of big aromatic thing. So this is fascinating to try like that. It's great.
Sweet. Yeah, when it's only a single hop like that and there's nothing else to play with it, like it's just you're just seeing that hop through and through, right? So
yeah.
Using like a huge amount and you'll get the essence of Simcoe, which is to me balancing like a little bit of both sides of it. Tropical, dank, it both should be there a little bit.
Hell yeah, man. Do you know what? This has got nothing to do with...
This is one of my favorite beers we've released in a long time.
You drinking that now?
Scott this.
Yeah?
I am drinking that now, and it's been in my fridge. I just keep bringing more home, but it's I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's exceptional.
Nice.
And the mouthfeel as
What
well.
happened to lagers all night?
I know, right? What are we doing?
Yeah, mix it up.
Lagers all night. What is this?
Yeah, what's going on, Josh? What's happening?
Yeah, I'm entitled to.
Sometimes you need to switch it up. I wanted to just very randomly bring up, just because I was thinking of the mouthfeel. And I was telling someone this the other day. The greatest black IPA I've ever had was Melody Noir. To this day, nothing even comes remotely close. I had it with you guys at Ren's event. Blew my fucking mind. Andrew is a beautiful man. He brought me some not too long after, and I had it out of the can. So I had it on draft, and then I had it on the can. And it was just the mouthfeel of a black IPA. It just, if you closed your eyes, you were drinking a 7% New England IPA, bright yellow thing. And it was just the most magical mouthfeel I've ever experienced. I've never felt that in a black IPA before. I don't know if you want to just I know we don't have it and it's not out right now, but I just wanted to bring it up because it's just, I think about it from time to time. It was that good. It just pops into my head.
That makes my night. Honestly, I want to just say that makes my night, Craig. That's this thing. That's so nice.
It's
just, thanks.
You know what I mean? Sometimes just I think about it. I'm like, people talk about black IPAs lately. And I was just like, oh, man. Is this nothing's I've never had anything like it. So whatever you did, Scott, you're a goddamn magician, bro. That mouthfeel can, I don't know if we know.
I probably didn't take notes. I don't know.
You're like, I don't know. Never gonna happen again.
I don't know. We just sort of did it, you know.
Josh, you're gonna
Our
kill you.
record keeping's getting better, but at that time it was spotty at best.
Are you going to do it again? Is really what I need to know.
We'll probably do it again. Yeah. At some point. Black IPAs are tough. Like,
They're tough sell.
I don't know our like sales history on them, but I feel like they've always performed okay for us. But they have this sort of like amongst brewers that like there's a lot of them that don't like the black IPA style.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is
most of the time.
You
I
don't?
straight up don't. Some of them taste like ashtray, and they're gnarly. They're not all good.
Yeah, like if they take like a really roasty stout and then hop the shit out of it and it's bitter and acrid, like that's not good.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys did to achieve this,
it can be a tough one.
Go on, Nate.
No, I was just gonna say, like it can be like it can be a bit of a weird style because, like you were just saying, Scott, it kind of tastes like a really hopped up stout, like because it's one of those styles that that like bridges the divide like between those two. That's kind of exactly what I think of. You've got the mix of that hop profile of an IPA with a huge roasted malt vibe of a stout, and I feel like where it lands in the middle can really kind of make or break the direction, like the direction that it goes. If it's going too far on, like on one side or the other aspect of it feels really out of place. So it's got to strike that right balance, which is really hard to hit. Mm-hmm. And with the mouthfeel that you guys managed to strike, as Craig was talking about with Melody Noire, it was really something special.
So it's kind of funny. We actually just take like sun split, and then we add like this really dark extract to it, like a syrup, and we just pour it in, and it just colors it. It's like food coloring for beer. It barely tastes like anything. Yeah, and then boof. No, I'm serious. That's how we don't like we've tried it a bunch of ways. We've tried black IPAs with a ton of different grains. We've tried just one barley, some oats, and then a dark malt extract, and I think we landed somewhere in the middle. But yeah, I think we just like learned that it's like a perception thing. It has to look like it's a stout, but taste like an IPA, and it can't really be roasty at all. It has to be like just dark enough. So that's where I ordered some syrup from a catalog, and we dumped it in until it looked dark enough, and then we called it a day.
I don't know whether to believe you.
That's really interesting.
Dead serious.
That's really interesting because one of the things that I remember about that beer is that it does it looks different than any other IPA that I've seen, because like it's not like that pure black that you would normally see from most IPAs. It's got like a creamy brown tinge to it. Like it does look different. Like do you remember that, Craig? You remember it looks different, right?
Yeah. So that's why I'm still trying to compute whether you're bullshitting me or not. Like you dead ass.
No, I'm not bullshitting.
I don't think he's bullshitting.
Scott, this is true. Scott has an uncanny ability to make genius sound like absolute stupidity.
Okay,
but it's not. It is.
Okay, so hang on. So you're not using dark malt, barely at all. It's literally a coloring agent,
which is the genius because that's why they all suck. So like as a style, it sucks because most of them taste like ashtray because people make them hoppy stouts. So I think the genius that's going understated here is that Scott discovered a way to make it not suck.
Yeah, like they can't actually taste like they're dark, if that makes sense.
And you should not know.
It's people who make a white stout, right?
Yeah.
Like if you make a white stout, you're trying to make a blonde ale that tastes like a stout. So it's like it's tricks. You're using different ingredients to make it taste that way. Black IPAs are sort of the same way. Like you use a hazy IPA, so you get that creamy mouthfeel, a bunch of oats, and then you got to get it dark. And you don't have to do like if I make like a imperial stout, there's every type of caramel malt and specialty malt in between. But if we do a black IPA, it's really simple. You just have to get it dark. On top, like it has to be a good IPA, but you just turn dark. Okay. So yeah, I am serious.
So it's really just a dark hazy IPA.
It comes in a jug. It's called Cinnamar. It's real easy to use. It works very well.
Is that like frowned upon or anything, or it's like it's a cool thing in it because you know how people are a bit funny about that shit. That's why I thought you were joking.
Depends who you talk to. I think it's one of those things like people who like look down on Budweiser being made with adjuncts in some way, whether it's like corn syrup or whatever it's being made with. There's lots of malt extracts, and we use them in dark beers all the time. They're just kind of funny. Like they work really well. You can just add them.
Okay.
We're on the line with Team Lactose here, so I don't feel like we'll be judged.
Oh no judgment here whatsoever. Yeah, Team Lactose all day. Are you guys Team Lactose, by the way?
I've actually stopped using lactose in lieu of maltodextrin. But I mean, that's okay. Yeah, I'm Team Lactose.
Okay, my man. Josh?
You guys have had a handful of lactose beers because there was the Fruit Loops beer, there was the key lime beer, there was the Pop Tarts beer.
One of the crowning achievements of our time was the cease and desist from Kellogg's.
Was that for the Fruity Loops one?
Yeah,
the Fruity Loops one.
That was
for several beers. There were several offenses. Yeah.
So they're not coming back, is what you're telling me.
No, those ones have to go away forever.
Okay.
Otherwise, the legal department at Kellogg's will be back to me.
I mean, I guess you could just make
that was
the
too
beers
funny
and rename them, I guess. But still, what's the point of that?
Yeah, what's the point? We don't have attention spans to keep doing the same thing over and over, really.
Like, boring. No, I love that. I think Scott might have frozen again. He's looking very aggressive in the camera here, and I'm a bit scared. We got a bunch of questions that have come up in the meantime. Yeah, I know we derailed. This is a good time right here. Rick is saying, is the Rooted in Place Festival going to be an annual event post-COVID?
So the talk after we did it the first time was there's 0% chance we're doing this next year.
Right.
But maybe the year after. So I feel like maybe it'll be a thing that we do every 2 years, which means should be happening next February. Turns out, though, one of the things that is not easy still in this province is bringing beer across a land border. So that process has got to start sooner rather than later if it's going to happen. But we had a great time. It was an absolutely awesome process. So we want to do it again.
I heard from multiple people.
It was honestly a blast. It was it was one of the best festivals I can ever remember going to. It was just one of those things. Like it really felt like a Dominion City festival. It was one of those things of it's the middle of February and it was one of the coldest days of the month. I remember, but you guys had it so well set up. Like it was nice and warm in those tents. It didn't feel too crowded. No one was drunk or belligerent. The people behind the taps were enjoying themselves as much as all the guests. A really gathering of friends. It was a really beautiful thing, and I really hope to be able to go back to you guys hosting that festival again.
Yeah, we want to do it again too. It was so fun, and it was just really cool. We were driving guys around, Ottawa who'd come in from, Kansas City and North Carolina and stuff, and it felt very cool to bring them to our city. In February, in the depths of winter, we rented a cottage the night before the festival and took a bunch of brewers up, and it was honestly pretty magical looking back on it, especially from where I sit now.
Yeah, right.
The idea of being at a cottage with anybody sounds pretty good. But,
that was what I heard about most. All the brewers who I spoke to were telling us about the cottage. I kept hearing people like, "Oh, it's just amazing." They were just losing their minds.
Well, we just had these big, fat snowflakes while the guys were playing pickup on the lake, and there was some magic that Mother Nature delivered for us, which was cool. But even the festival, I agree with Nathan. Like, we just had the right crowd. Like, people showed up in the right spirit. It was an all-inclusive ticket, but you weren't lining up for tokens once you were there. And with a festival like that, there's always a risk, of course, that people get carried away, and it's not very fun at the end of the night. But that really didn't happen at all, and that was great. So I don't know. Yeah. I think we've all caught our breath, probably. I don't know. We'll have to make a hard decision, but I think that we'll definitely do it again for sure.
I love it. I'm gonna be there next time. I heard too much about it. Bruce Morris. Oh, Scott, were you gonna say something, bro?
No, man, it was a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun. I'd love to do that again. I don't know. I like going to festivals. You guys like going to festivals? Like they're a ton of fun.
Yeah.
You know?
It's been a while. To be honest, I kind of got festivaled out for a little bit there in 2019 because I feel like 2017, 18, we were just going bonkers with festivals. And like for me, and I'm absolutely being a complaining ass first world problems person right now, but like it's work when I'm going there as the beer media because there's photos and reviews and video. We have to film a vlog and like we're going to try and capture everything. So it's sort of like I always get like mad stressed about festivals. And then because it's always like rushing, we're always late for everything. So I'm always like, oh, we don't eat enough beforehand and you got to have the foundation before you're drinking at that volume and blah, blah, blah. So I kind of got over them. But now that it's been a year and a half at least since I've been to something, I'm definitely feeling like I'm, you know, I had my break, my forced break from it, you know. So it's it would be very welcome at this point to get back into.
If there was one for you to come back to, Rooted in Place would be the one to do it for.
Yeah, the one that actually, because of everything I heard was about how good it was Rooted in Place. The other one was Furuni, which was supposed to be last August, which was every 2 years as well. That was amazing. That was probably the best festival I ever went to.
We were really
looking forward to that.
Yeah, I was extremely excited to go to that. So hopefully that happens again because I'd love to go.
Did any of you guys go to the first one? I don't think you did, Nate, but
I didn't.
No.
Yeah, it was.
It's been on our list for a long time.
It was just because it was
amazing.
Like, at a field on the border of Vermont, like in Quebec, with like 8 feet tall sunflowers and like Cantillon next to Jester King, next to Orval and Bellwoods and Burdock and fucking Maltstrom and just all the Quebec guys. It was just like such a nice mix of stuff, and everyone didn't get too smashed, and it was just really really nice. It was, because it was like mid-August, so it was super hot, and it was lovely. God damn it. I'm gonna run through these comments before I let them bank up too much. Bruce Morris saying, "Nice shirt, Nate." I think you stood up before and you saw the the shirt.
Thanks, Bruce. So shouts to Chris from High Gravity Supply Co. That's that's what this design is. He makes some good stuff. So yeah, go ahead and check him out.
Yes, he does some great stuff. I got the Citra one. The Citra one is super cool. That's a nice one too. Bruce is also saying, I think this will help your loyal fans to support. I imagine because this is a delay, I don't know what he was referring to. Maybe it's the website or something. But the engagement via social media is going to be a critical piece of your marketing spend moving forward, which is very, very true. Jesse is saying, big shout out to Half Hours on Earth for selling beer via mail inspiration. Yes, they were the triple OGs of that, actually.
Yeah, they were the first. They were the first. They really put things in motion, and they changed the provincial beer game in getting that going. And God damn it, if they still don't make some of the best beers in Ontario.
Yeah, they don't fuck around, man. And do you know what's devastating? They told me in no uncertain terms they would never come on the podcast because they don't want to ever hear their voice or see themselves on camera. So, you know what? I respect the
That's too bad.
I respect the honesty, as devastated as I am. Andrew, that fucking sex beast, says we've got 4 Rouge River Hazes dropping 2 Left Field Seltzers Anniversary Baltic Porter. Look at you.
Oh my God. You guys are gonna are gonna run me broke with all of this. There's too much good shit.
Worth it. Pineapple Diesel, that sounds like a nice strain of bud.
I feel like he was talking about Land of Hope, but I don't know.
Oh, Pineapple Diesel. Okay. Do you know what? I think he's right. I like it a lot. Pineapple Diesel. That's the best name ever. You should totally do a Pineapple Diesel beer. Andrew, you're a genius. He says, sorry, Jesse, you're a genius. Andrew says, does Scott's glass ever get empty? Is that your last one, Scott?
No, I have one more, but it's in the freezer. Just trying to get it icy.
Okay.
There you go.
And then
I'll be right
Scott's
back.
done.
I'm going to get one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Scott's over. He's like, fuck that, I'm done. Jesse saying if
Sounds
they
good.
if they taste Society and Solitude number 2 or James, Black IPA are pretty great. Fair. Daniel shouts to Dan, Cascadian Dark Ale. Is that basically the same thing?
Yeah.
I
guess
believe
so.
it is.
I guess because I've really been trying to catch up on these comments, they're probably so situational. Are you saying meat glue? I don't
Meat
know what
glue?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, that was referring to our alternative to dextrose.
Meat glue. Okay.
But we can disregard that. Yeah. That's what we call it in house. You got to put the meat glue in.
Okay, trap the meat glue. I like it. Jesse's also, we can't talk about the Pop-Tarts beer legally, which is fair. Every visiting brewery had a story about how harrowing their trip to the festival was. Great times.
Not a word of a lie.
Yeah,
It took
actually,
guys from Penn Druid like 2 days to get to the festival. They drove through the worst weather on like back roads with no snow tires.
Yeah, they ditched their old sedan in a dip in the snow.
And left it?
Yeah. Lots of people had a hard time getting there.
Bro, I got a few stories just driving to Vermont in this time of year, in this nonsense. It's I'm sort of glad to avoid those drives. They were never fun. But half the time you always end up sideways on the highway. Just even going 40 k's an hour, you're still gonna. It's just a nightmare. God damn.
It can get real treacherous.
Yeah, man. It's really
I see Josh just cracked open Trouble in the Fields. That was another rooted in place origin one. That's a damn good lager right there.
What's the deal with that one, Uncle Josh? Tell us.
Well, Scott should talk about it. We were actually just talking about this the other day, and this feels like it kind of highlights it ticks a bunch of boxes for us. So.
Yeah, so it's in our lineup of lagers, this one's probably like if I had to pick one that I would, put a gun to my head and say, pick a lager, make it and love it and make it really good. This is the one. I want to make this beer really good. I want to make it consistently. It's brewed with floor malted on locally grown Cascade. That's it. Very simple. And with corn, just like purple corn. I think we used purple corn last time, but like a heritage corn, about 20% of the grain bill. So it's our take on a corn lager. Like they don't have to be cheap and flavorless. They can be flavorful, bitter, hoppy, aromatic. And that's sort of what I want this beer to be. Like firm bitterness, dry with a good malt body, brewed with like entirely locally sourced ingredients.
Love it, man. Is that a
beautiful?
Is it like I imagine it's not a year round thing. It's like a few times a year. What's the deal with that one?
It comes and goes. We're sort of rotating back and forth between that and Civic Pilsner, back and forth.
Gotcha.
It was white corn last time.
Yes, look at that, Jesse knowing more than Scott right now.
Yeah. So I don't know. It comes and goes. I'd like to see it around a lot. It's going to be in heavy rotation.
That's great, man. It's cool. I really like there's really something to be said about the beers that come back regularly, sort of like every 2-3 months, whatever it is. I feel like there's something cool about that because like it keeps a beer like instead of being year round where people may take it for granted. Something even like Paper Salesman as well that comes back 4 times a year. When it does come back, it's an iteration on it, whether it's the same thing or your processes are a little tighter, so it's tasting better. Like we were saying, this batch was amazing. I think that's just a really cool way to release beer. I mean, it's cool to have the flagships too, but I like that because it keeps the excitement for a beer that maybe, I have had this beer for the first time 4 years ago, but every time I feel like every time I see Andrew, he always made sure to give me a can of Paper Salesman every single time because he knew that this is my shit. And I very much associated with that first time of coming into the brewery and meeting you guys and being in a terrible state, and then that beer pepped me up, and I was sick as well. So I felt good afterwards, and I had to still go and I did another video with Hops and Bros after that, and then I still had to drive home. So it was like not nostalgic as far as craft beer can be for me, but because it's around every time it does come up, I'm like, oh, I need Paper Salesman, as opposed to like, oh, what's new? What's the new thing they're doing? You know, I think that's really cool, and because you guys seem to, if you're swapping Civic and then this one out, that's even cooler because it's sort of like there'll always be something different, and you might not be able to get that every time, so it retains that interest and that desire for it ticks the box for something new and fresh, you know, even if they may have had it before, they might not have had it for a while, so it's still.
I think it's fair to say that Scott has really been like the driving force of that kind of practice at our brewery. And like, I think there comes like a time in the life of maybe any small business, but definitely a small brewery where like it seems like the most obvious thing to do is the obvious next thing to do is the thing you should do. And it's like, we have just like been very fortunate that sometimes there's like voices around the table who are like, we probably shouldn't do that. And one of those things would be like making a beer that worked once, making it all the time, and making it too structured, too rigid, not flexible enough. And like, it definitely was not where my head was at early on. And like, it took a bit of like, well, Scott probably remembers the days of having to explain things to us multiple times, but I think we've really benefited from that kind of a philosophy. And like, anyway, it definitely seems to work. I'm with you.
Where did you get that idea from, Scott?
Rotating beers around?
Yeah. Because I'd only seen it one particular brewery in Vermont, and I always thought it was super cool. And whenever I see it, I'm always mad impressed because I don't think it's super common as well.
I mean, like a quick trip to Hill Farmstead and realizing that they only have like one mainstay beer kind of made me realize like, oh wait, we can change this up all the time. We don't have to be pigeonholed to a certain thing. You can, if something's working really well, yeah, for sure, you can keep making more of it. But you can also slow down when you want. You can change it up, throw in something new. We have beers that we make year round. We have them. They're there all the time, and they are our biggest sellers. They sell far more than anything else. But we make tons of new beers just to like, I'll look at the brew schedule and be like, what do I want to be drinking next month? We need something more interesting in there. We need something like this. So, it's it's engaging. It's the type of brewery that I want myself and the other brewers to work in. Really new, always talking about something new. But when you go to other breweries that focus on that sort of thing, where they're constantly rotating stuff, it's a really cool environment to like go to, try what's going on in that month for them, and then leave, think about it. Then you go back a couple years later and they're doing some of the same stuff, but some totally new stuff. And that's sort of where that came from, was like, just keep, have mainstay beers, have things that you do all the time. But like, if you're not experimenting or trying, then you're stuck in your time. You're sort of stuck where you are.
Yeah. No, great point. Funny you mentioned Hill Farmstead. I actually saw it in Burlington Beer Co. So they would have like which is hilarious because they would do like the Wizard, but the Wizard's like 4 times a year, kind of like Paper Salesman, and like it's like every time you go there, there'd be the new one. I'm like, oh, you need to try the new batch of Wizard. It's killing it right now. I'm like, all right, sick, and all of that. I really appreciated that because then there was like iterations of a series that had. Whatever, say it was a fruited goza, and every time you went there was just a different fruit available, and maybe a different version of their stout series, but then one of the 4 rotating IPAs, and then there was this and that. And I just thought that was a kind of cool way, and I hadn't seen it prior to seeing there. And then you guys hearing that this is how you do it, I think that's fantastic, because I feel like I'm seeing it more and more, but it's just like, it seems like a smart way to run a business. But as far as keeping your, keeping both the brewers entertained, because it'd be boring as shit if you're doing, like you were saying, the same 6 beers all the time, and it becomes like you're in a production facility. But also it keeps your consumers entertained because they know that they can expect these X number of beers every single time. I imagine it's the Town and Country, the Two Flags IPA and stuff like that that's always there, and then every time they come, they know, is it going to be Paper Salesman time? Is it going to be Sun Split time? Is it going to be Civic? Is it going to be that? All these different things. And there's like, they're always going to leave with a different bag of stuff, plus some random new stuff that you're testing out. It's just like, it always keeps it fresh for the consumer, but an element of familiarity with improvements. So I just think that's a cool way to operate.
For sure. We've, through a lot of experimentation with all of our one-off beers, or just how we've been able to stay very adaptive, we've been able to take a lot of what we try, like new things that we try in new beers. We've learned a ton of stuff that we've worked back into the beers that we make all the time, which makes them more, taste better, more financially viable. It makes them just like a stronger asset in general, through like, learning experimentation. So yeah, they're a ton of fun, but they also make a lot of sense for us on our size. Like, we're not a giant production facility just pounding out some macro lager, So yeah, we have a fun. We get to have a lot of fun with that.
I love that. Are you guys in the LCBO at all for any of the brands, or did you intentionally stay away from that?
Yeah, we don't sell any beer directly to the LCBO. We have two beers that are available in like a handful of grocery and beer store locations. So Town and Country and Two Flags you can find pretty much just in Ottawa at a handful of those locations. But the vast majority of what we make, both in terms of volume and in terms of like product, is just not really available anywhere other than the brewery or a bar that buys it by the keg.
Any particular reason that you guys haven't moved into that at this point?
This is one of those things that I'm kind of talking about when I say that, like, having a voice at the table to make you second guess what you think is the next obvious step. I think, frankly, if it weren't for Scott, I think we would probably be a brewery at the LCBO. And the truth is that, maybe until now, at the current scale that we're at, like, it's a losing hand for a brewery our size, really, to kind of double down on moving product through a channel where, like, it's going to be lower margin. It's going to be more out of your control. It's going to be more in terms that someone's going to enjoy it at when they get it, because God knows how old it is or how many, warm warehouses it sat in before it got to a shelf. And it's very tempting to find one big buyer to take a bunch of your product. It seems like it makes a lot of business sense on the surface. But the truth is, the harder thing is to forge a direct connection with real humans who come back. They drive to the back of an industrial park to buy our beer, and they do it because we don't let them down too often, hopefully. And then, we try to find a little reason why it's an extra enjoyable experience when you do come. So we've invested in those things, and I think it's served us well in the long run. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't an instinct along the way where, like, we might have taken the road more traveled. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's there's an element to your approach to that which speaks to your commitment to the community. And what I'm thinking of is that is like a couple of the restaurants where I know I can always find your beer. It's one that you've collabed with before is Citizen, which is one of my favorite restaurants in town. Like, one that always has a great beer selection, and I'm thinking back to to the Hoppy Kolsch that you did with the as the collab with them, and it's one that that almost always has your beers there. Like, if a restaurant in town has your beers there, it's one of those things that, like, it feels like it's got your stamp of approval, and it's one of those places that, as you were saying before, it's like you can get your product within like a certain radius of the brewery. And I know that there's someone from that restaurant who's driven up to your warehouse, loaded it up into their truck, and driven it back to their restaurant, and and it was probably brewed in the last 2 weeks. So it's one of those things that's a really good thing to see in the city, and it speaks to your connection to the city and the community.
Yeah, that's cool that you say that. I think having like a direct relationship, like, the truth is, and in a year like this, it actually is very hard because we actually know a lot of these people. Like they're in many cases, the people who own these restaurants are friends. And man, is it ever a shit time, for a lot of them right now. And it's not a lot of fun really for them. But the bright side is you have these relationships, and you really do take pride in, like, we also are people who love eating at good restaurants. And so, like, to know the folks at Heartbreakers Pizza or Farinella or Citizen or Bar Lupulus or a handful of other places, and really know something about their business and to be customers as well as suppliers is, like, very cool. And I think you just don't get that if our model were different, right? If we were relying on the beer store in Windsor to sell our product, well, like, it's very difficult to have a relationship with the end customer at a lot of the places that buy our beer. So that's very cool.
I love that. I think that's super important. I guess that sort of speaks to really who you guys are. I like the dedication to that you guys are really, like, that's who we are. That's what we do. That's what you kind of stick to. I think that's super cool, because it's something that, like, I guess that you guys have, like, the pop-ups for people to get it outside. There's a few. I remember back when we did a collab with Sawdust City a few years ago, and both Randy and Jesse turned up that night, which was super cool, in Toronto to the night they partied with us. They were fucking champions, and they were there because they were working and getting all the bars out there, the beers and stuff, and it was super cool to see that. And I imagine that was back when we were in Toronto regularly, and we were able to. I feel like it's cool that people can get a taste of it, like you were saying with the Fairweather thing, where they were able to do the pop-up in Toronto and sell you stuff, but you guys weren't completely. It's not like it's like a treat to get your stuff, I guess, outside of Ottawa is kind of what I'm saying. Like, and it's like people have to come to the city, or at least if you're elsewhere in Ontario, you can order it and get it shipped. It's cool.
It's not. I mean, it isn't everywhere, and certainly everything we make, in some cases, some of it never leaves the city. So
Right.
that is, and it's a bit of a luxury of being the size and scale we are, and frankly, for the fans we have who make the model we want work. And in a weird way, I'd be lying if I weren't saying, in a weird way, this whole last year that we've been on has sort of accelerated the model that we always wanted, which was like sell everything we can pretty much here in Ottawa. That's the dream. And it's basically where we're at the moment. I mean, bars and restaurants are a fraction of their former selves. And we do ship beer out of the city, but in most cases, this is just being consumed by people near to it, enjoyed in the state that Scott and the team hope, which is fresh, well-loved and fast. So that's a good thing. In that sense, I hope some of these things that, people have gotten used to over a year, ordering online and having it delivered to your door, picking it up in a hurry, those would be good habits if we could keep that going.
I think it's cool. There's something so cool about that. And I'm quite jealous being here in Quebec that being that I do beer media, I have access to stuff. But I can't get stuff unless I already know the brewery or something to ship it to me in Quebec as a PR package. But if I wanted to order and purchase from somebody, I can't do that. And I find that frustrating, because there's some stuff that I was talking to Nate, sometimes Nate and I just trade. I just send him stuff. We send each other stuff or whatever. He's like, yo, can you get this or this? I'm like, I don't have a car and they don't distribute and I don't have any way to get there type of thing. Like, and some of them are too far to even Uber to. And it's super frustrating. So I think it's super cool, at least that Ontario does have that sort of shipping thing, so that, people in Windsor can order from Dominion City, or anywhere in the province can order from Half Hours on Earth and get their stuff, like I think that's so...
Well, suffice to say, Craig, I'm not on the Premier's Christmas card list, but I do have to give him his due. When it comes to the very narrow band of alcohol sales liberalization, I do feel like he has an agenda that does sort of serve small businesses in Ontario. So I'll give him that much. Anyway.
That actually reminded me, we don't have to go into it, but the bucket beer thing that you guys did was the coolest shit, the coolest response to
Oh, that was the best.
Yeah, man. You guys are such fucking gangsters. You don't give a shit. It's so dope. Like, you just don't give a fuck about any of that. You just like, we are doing what is right at all times, at any cost.
Yeah, man. Josh McJannett gives no fucks.
Zero fucks.
Right.
Josh is just the biggest G in Ontario beer. He's like, fuck that. Mafia, watch me. This is what's going to happen.
That was one of those.
Said no one.
That was one of those things when that beer. When that beer dropped,
so cool,
it sold out before I could get there at the end of my workday, and it was one of those things of I've never been so happy to see a beer sell out before I could get to it. It was like I was just so happy that everyone rallied behind that one so hard.
Yeah, man.
That was a cool day. That was a really good day. You know, that was a very satisfying feeling for sure. It was great to have. And one of those days where you're like, you put something out in the world and it's just like, you know, the people you hope will pick it up and run with it. And it was awesome.
Once again, back to the community, right? People get it. Nate, continue.
Well, I was just going to say this is probably a good opportunity for us to fill back up because I think we're done. We're done with Land of Hope. It's probably stout time, don't you think?
I am open to a stout. What should we do?
Well, I think maybe we should. I think maybe we let the boys decide. So because we've got Dark Night of the Soul and we've got Between Two Evils. Which one do you think we should go for, guys?
Dark Night of the Soul, probably. No,
let's do it. I'm down.
Yeah,
that's how you grab yours first because I have to take a piss very shortly. But I do want to move into after we talk about that. I want to move into all the stuff that you guys have been doing with Ren, with Beer Diversity, which is super cool. Just coming off the bucket beer thing. Should we tell people what we're talking about in case people don't know what the hell the bucket beer thing is?
Yeah, we can do that. Sure.
Just briefly, just so people knew. I'm just thinking for context. I was like, just thinking now. I was like, oh, maybe people don't really remember what that was. So right. Just tell them what that was.
So the brother of the worst mayor of Toronto in history becomes the premier.
The funniest mayor in Toronto. We have to give him that. He was very funny.
And one of his key promises for the province was to make beer cheap again. So yes. Obviously, as people who make very not cheap beer. And don't believe beer really ought to be cheap as a first standpoint.
No.
Took some umbrage with this idea. And moreover, I just remember like losing a lot of sleep about the state of the world at that time. This was kind of a year or something after Donald Trump became president. And we had a premier who all of a sudden was making very weird noises about immigrants and refugees. And it all just sounded very foreign for my home province. And we didn't like the sound of it. So what we did was we made a beer called Bucket Beer that cost over $3 for a short can, but we donated $1 to support refugee settlement in Ottawa. And I think to this day, it's the fastest selling beer we've ever made. And certainly the one that generated the most interest anyway. And yeah, it was a good day.
It's a brewing thing. Would you ever do that one again?
And that's why the premier doesn't send me a Christmas card.
Fuck that guy. You don't need him anyway. I'm just going to grab that beer. You guys continue just chit-chatting. Do whatever you want to do. It's your platform
now. No, that's it really is a. Scott, I'm glad you said Dark Night of the Soul, because I really do enjoy this beer a lot. It's it's a special one for me because this is one that I like when I had it for the first time. I think you guys released it just before Christmas 2019, and I brought it. I had it Christmas Eve with my family, and I had it for dessert, and I was just drinking it and thinking of like a liquefied Ferrero Rocher kind of thing. And it just hit me just at just in that perfect way when I had that. So. That's my little emotional connection to to this beer. So do you want to tell me why why you said we should go with Dark Night?
While I'm certainly don't get me wrong, I'm definitely more attached to the bourbon barrel aged beers because they sit in wood for so long.
Oh yeah.
So Between Two Evils is a beer that we try it right before we brew it. We try it when it's about a year old in barrels, and then we make a decision on how we want to brew it for the next year. So like its cycle is you make a decision once, you don't see the result for another year. It's cool, but lots of people do those. So Dark Night of the Soul is a little bit more like, I'm pretty proud of it. We've been working towards trying to make these like really big and rich imperial stouts, like what you'll see a lot of the time in like, pastry style beers, or the big, rich, lactose filled, full of flavor. That's what we're going for here. There is no lactose, but it is like extremely very thick and full of flavor. So we used a ton of vanilla beans, hazelnuts, and cocoa nibs for this beer, and just wanted like a big, rich, decadent experience from it. So it's big, vanilla, nutty. The cocoa nibs are from Hummingbird Chocolate, not too far from the brewery, so that's a sort of like local approach to it. Outside of that, it's just supposed to be like a really rich, decadent experience, like very different from Between Two Evils. This has a lot more sugar and richness to it.
Would you consider
Yeah,
it a
for
pastry
sure.
or not quite?
I mean, yes and no. Like, like,
I'd
tough to
say it's in
say.
that vein. It's like
It's in that
it's
vein.
kind of yeah. I would say it's not a pastry stout.
It's not,
It's
no.
like it's one of those things of like I think it. Well, maybe it wasn't ahead. Like Buck Canada was probably making pastries before, like a little bit before this one came out. But
Yeah.
maybe this came out like a little bit before, like before it was the pastry stout was a little bit more widespread. But like if this had like this, I think fits the bill for a pastry stout for me. Like it's definitely that like thick, rich, decadent stout that like that definitely has that same kind of feel to a lot of the pastry stout. And Farrell is saying beat us as diabetes at like yeah, I feel that with this one.
Yeah. Basically. Just
Yeah. So they got to be big beers. I mean, these
Yeah.
are totally inspired by beers that like breweries like Buck Canada do, or look into the States. You're looking at, like Tampa stouts. What's the name of the brewery in Tampa that's like,
Angry Chair.
anyways, Angry Chair. We just call them
Cigar
like
City,
Florida
Angry-
stouts, where they're like all residual sugar and adjunct. So
Yep.
we're working at it. We're working away at it. Like with this one, I was very happy with like how rich it is. We could add more shit to it. We could put more vanilla, more nuts, more whatever. But the base beer is thick.
Listen, yeah. This is not a joke. Whoa, I haven't had this for a while. This is intense, man. I love it. I like it. See, the thing, I've been sort of thinking lately about pastries. Like, they're cool, but they're just so much. And I'm sort of like rethinking how much I enjoyed them. And I feel like this is like a nicer, like it's not like cake batter, I guess.
Yeah.
People always say, like, I find that like they're like, if a cake, I don't know, you need like that much of like a cake batter beer type of thing. Like you can like an 8-ounce can and like that's plenty.
And sorry, Greg, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Scott was saying that like there's no lactose in it, and it's one of those ones that I definitely don't think needs lactose. Like this has all of the this has all of the sweetness and richness that it needs. Okay. Okay. Sorry, you're gonna kick me off Team Lactose for this.
I could never do that.
But what I'm saying is one, like, yeah, that's right. You can't. So fuck you. No, but it's but what I'm saying is this is a delicious beer. It's like it is sweet and rich and and just goddamn tasty, and I don't think it needs anything more.
No, it doesn't.
And Farrell's chirping me right now saying don't break this one. Yeah, because I was so sad because I broke my first rooted in place glass, and Andrew was nice enough to hook me up with a replacement, and I haven't broken this one yet, and I'm praying not to.
What a champion. Jesse's like, what's the FG though, Scott? What's the final gravity?
Oh, thick. For the nerds out there, it's 17 Plato. But yeah, it's rich.
Yeah, it's rich.
Others might call that attenuated.
Attenuated?
Some might call it a bad ferment, but we're happy with the result.
This has been a style that Scott has had like a bone to pick with for like a while,
right?
And there've been a few runs at it, but is it fair to say that this is the one you've been the most satisfied with, Scott?
The one I've been most happy with, yeah. I think it's like
we're not done yet. There's more to come in a few weeks, but I feel like this is pretty good.
Yeah, it's like a style that like I'll try. I like trying at festivals, like a couple ounces here and there, like really small pours, or sharing a can with a few people. But it's one of the most intriguing styles to me. Like, it's technically very difficult to actually make a beer that big, that strong, with all this stuff in it. There's a ton of things at play. So I find it like just a fascinating thing to even try and do, and try and do well, and do like, there's some people that are exceptional at it. And so it's like each time we brew it and it comes out, it's like, I'm really happy about it. I think it tastes great. And then I'm like, wait, this is good, but we have a lot of work to do. And that's how, like, I don't feel that way about a lot of different beer styles. This one, it's like very intriguing and is driving me to like keep pushing and keep trying to make it really good. So our vanilla build just keeps getting higher. Actually, it keeps spending more and more on great vanilla beans. Yeah.
We have the world's most passionate vanilla supplier, though. She's an absolute gem. Like, if you ever want to get excited, you should talk to her. Scott talks to her.
Because Bar Canada, we had them on like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And they were like, we had Bar Canada on a couple weeks ago. And they were like, you need to talk to this vanilla chick. She just loves it.
You should do a whole episode with the vanilla woman. She's so excited about vanilla. It's amazing.
You should do an episode.
Oh, I love that.
Her and her customers. Let them go about vanilla.
And her and who? Sorry, because you broke up.
You should let Chantel and like her top 3 brewery customers just talk about vanilla.
I'll just sit back.
You know,
just let them go.
Yeah, just let them talk. Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah, that's what Jesse saying. Shout out to Gab from Bar Canada. Yeah, Gab and both Mark and they were like, you need to talk to this woman. She will talk for 4 hours about vanilla. It's no, like, I was like, damn, okay. Like, I thought there was like 2 types, and I guess not. Tahitian and Madagascar, and I guess now there's probably more than that.
Yeah, it's much more complicated. That's where we got the connect. Gab hooked us up. So.
Shouts to Gab. What kind of vanilla is in this one? We should do her justice and talk about which vanilla is in this one.
Fuck. I think that one's Madagascar. I think that's just straight Madagascar.
I'm getting Madagascar vibes from the can here.
Yeah, same. Me too. Me too.
You're a fucking idiot. I love it. No, this is dope, man. Like, yeah, you really hit a bunch of the notes there. The vanilla's super powerful in there. The hazelnut's a nice little backbone. It's just like a nice imperial stout that's like flavorful, that does not feel too much like diabetes, as Andrew was saying. It's great. I feel like you'd be pretty trash. I really appreciate the small cans for. He said it is.
Yes.
Look at that, Scotty. We got it, bro. We are vanilla fucking experts, mate.
We got it.
We would have picked if it was Tahitian. I mean, obviously. Come on now, like, come the fuck out of here.
That's a great point that Craig just brought up. Like, the 355 ml cans for an imperial stout is it's the way to go.
I gotta tell you guys, there's a lot of hate out there. There's a lot of hate about the short can. We got a few. Oh yeah, I get letters.
Talk to me. Explain that, please.
Please don't change. Please don't change. I'm here for the small format for these big beers, man. I can't handle like a fucking 750 ml bottle for an imperial stout.
I mean, that's Andrew Farrell's whole basement is just 750 ml bottles of stout he's never going to drink.
He's never going to drink. First time for everything, my guys. Oh, just yeah, man. Like, do you know what's funny? I was talking with Noah Forrest from Beerism and another. Her name is Emily. She's La Petite Bière on Instagram, and we were just talking about like having pastry stouts or whatever, or large ABV stouts. And she said that she's like super lightweight with beer and would like those like tiny cans. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm pretty sure these existed. We found them, and I've seen cans. They're basically 8-ounce cans. They're kind of like half of one of these, almost.
They're adorable, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes, like, the 750s are cool, but during a pandemic, what's the point? Like, I mean, you can put the stopper in. You can have half now, half tomorrow or something cool, but that's the reason why, like you said, Farrell's basement is all 750s, because who the fuck is drinking that shit? Like, the 355 is perfect. You can end your night on this after having a few other beers. Like, I don't know if it's possible to have more after this, but that is all you really need. A 500 is cool, I guess, but I would much prefer this or smaller. You just don't need it because it's just so rich and sweet. Like, you know, it's unnecessary. I really appreciate it when breweries do that.
Yeah, for sure. I think we need to get a good line on those 8-ounce cans. Those are pretty sweet. So
yeah, I've never seen them in Canada. Tiff is enjoying the I Get Letters. That could be almost like the episode name, I Get Letters. Jesse's saying the Collective Arts did their Origin of Darkness series in shorties this year. They did do that, which was a really good idea.
That's right.
Farrell saying...
same with Wellington and their UVB 76. That was in shorties this year as well. It's good. It's the way to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely the move. As you're saying, I can't drink any more of them. I'm all out of sucks days. What's a sucks day?
You know what? Well, we do pay for a lot of sick days, but many sucks days. So he's right about that.
Okay, Dana won't split them with him. Well, Dana's going to have to step up, Andrew. I think you have to talk to her. Get her on the line and tell her that Josh said that you have to share him with
No more sucks days, Farrell.
No more. I'm tired of you, Farrell. Just because you're pretty, you can't get away with it all the time, you fuck. Yeah, no, it's definitely the move for these ones. So, can we talk about the one that's coming soon, or are we a little?
I think Jesse's already put it in the coming soon, so I feel like we can talk about it.
I feel like we can. Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about them. We got two big liquor stouts coming. We got one that we're doing with Cocoa Nibs. We're doing with chocolate and that's number one. York Peppermint Patty is the inspiration.
Nice.
And then the other one's a collaboration with my when I think of Imperial Stout, I look up to Barn Cat. Like every year, Rat Queen just knocks my socks off. Great beer. So we're brewing a beer with them. We basically just brewed an Imperial Stout and said, what do you want to do to it? What kind of shit do you want to put in it? And they said blueberry and maple syrup and Tahitian vanilla bean. So that's coming up.
Very different.
Come on.
Very different to Madagascar. I just want to point that out. But continue. Very different.
Yeah, it is.
Now your mind's going to be blown when you realize that Tahitian vanilla is from Papua New Guinea, because it blew my mind. But
is it really?
Yeah,
very confusing.
Of the Tahitensis variety.
Of the what?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't even know why we're talking about this without the vanilla lady. Let's just get her on right now.
Get her on the line. Get her on the line.
Yeah, we'll call her up, talk to her. She'll let you know. I'll probably say it wrong.
Okay, we don't want to put you on the line anyway. So you got to do blueberry. You said maple and vanilla, Tahitian vanilla.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's a Barn Cat collab. That'll be out in like a couple weeks, few weeks maybe.
How's that tasting?
Yeah. So we're basically doing treatments.
Is that tasting good?
Tasting pretty good. Yeah. It's we use a ton of maple syrup and blueberries, so it's like it's strong. It's strong as fuck, and like ton of blueberries, so it's a little tart. But yeah, it's tasting really good so far. I think it's like
That sounds exciting.
Yeah. Like fruit and imperial stouts taste pretty good. So we're probably gonna do more of it. We fucked up one time and did bananas, and it totally did not work out well. But we're probably just not gonna do bananas anymore.
Bananas is a strange one in an imperial stout.
Yeah, bananas are weird. They're so starchy, you know.
I've totally. It's way too starchy, motherfuckers. Craig Gabacho is saying, "Am I crazy for having 2 cans of the imperial stout with pistachio, but not yet having one of them?"
Yeah.
What was that one?
Are you allergic to pistachios?
Maybe he needs to crack one open right now. Craig, you have a wonderful name, first of all. I think on that note, you should crack one open in honor of the gentleman. Jesse's like, "Oh,
what you waiting on there, bud?"
Yeah, man, crack that shit. Jesse's like, the Barncat one wasn't a secret. He said that's not entirely true. So I'm not sure. Is that the secret? Not entirely true. If you'd like, I can go in on vanilla varieties, thanks to Chantel.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. This is why I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Vanilla is a whole thing, and Chantel's the one you got to talk to.
It's just so funny. This just keeps coming up, so I guess I don't really have a choice. But to
we're gonna
Craig,
we're gonna have to get Chantel on.
Yeah, man, I'll have to get you and Noah to help me out, bro, because I'm gonna have to really understand vanilla. But I wonder. So without taking over this podcast to talk about vanilla, if you're sampling vanilla, how does that work? Does she? Because I was saying how we all drink the same beers during the podcast or whatever. Could she send us some vanilla or something, and then we can all smell the vanilla or sample the vanilla bean? Like you have one Tahitian and one.
Yeah, that's what she does with us.
So how does it work? Excuse my extreme ignorance.
I don't know. Like when she sends me samples, I don't know what to do with them. You know, I just
do you eat them or you can't really eat them, man?
I've tried eating them, but it doesn't taste great. You know, it tastes really harsh.
It's so strong.
Vanilla tastes weird.
Mm.
It's really strong. Yeah. So I smell them. I'm like, whoa, this blows my mind. It's something totally new. But I think that's because Chantel's a very good salesperson. Because
she's passionate.
She's also in my head. Yeah. But a lot of it's you just break it open, you smell it, and it smells. Oh man, it just smells great. It smells amazing. Yeah, I'm sold on whatever she's selling. So
okay,
that's great.
I'm definitely here for it.
Oh, Craig. So I think we diverted from the point that you wanted to bring up before we got our beers, because I think we wanted to pivot to the diversity initiatives and the things that they've been working on, right? Or
this is why you're running the show here, Nate. Thank you. Yes. So when we came in May. Our good old, mutual friend, all of us here, Ren Navarro of Beer Diversity and now Do Better, Be Better. She did a talk. It was the first time I'd seen her do a talk at the brewery. It was phenomenal. We specifically came up just to see that, and it was a wonderful excuse to be like, well, we're going to go to Ottawa for a couple of nights, so let's go to Dominion City and hang out with the boys. And we had a fantastic night afterwards. We all went to Flora Hall and hung out. It was just a really good time. You guys showed us a great time. I imagine it was the same type of hospitality you did at Rooted in Place, because we all got that big ass taxi. I had a really fantastic night with you all. And
I was so hungover the next day. My God.
Oh yeah, we got fucked up, bro. Jesus Christ. Oh, Ottawa. It's a good time. But yeah, so Ren and you guys announced on that at that event and that evening that you guys were doing a partnership where you guys were co-sponsoring and funding a scholarship for a person of color to attend the Niagara Brewing College to be, to enter the program to become a brewer. And since then, you guys have worked with Ren and probably on your own initiatives doing similar things. I just wanted to see if we could just touch on some of that work, because you guys have once again been thinking of the community before. It's really important to you guys, and that's why we love you so much. The dedication and the genuine passion that you have towards like making sure the craft beer is for everybody and putting your money up to make sure that happens, supporting someone like Ren whose mission is that, all right, let's work together, let's do this. It was just such a beautiful thing, and you guys were certainly pioneers of that type of thing. I hadn't seen any brew anything like that before. Do you want to maybe talk a bit about that from that time a couple of years ago and how that sort of changed coming into now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to say is that it's not entirely selfless. I think we realize that if the next 10 years of beer look like the last 10 years of beer, there won't be 10 years after that. The truth is there's just not enough white bearded dudes to keep this going forever.
Look at this podcast,
yeah.
This podcast notwithstanding, the truth is that I think it's incumbent on us, just as a matter of practicality, let alone the right thing, is to bring more people in to what we do. And I think there's a lot about beer that's wonderful. Like I think, most of the people I've met through beer genuinely are open-minded, kind-hearted, inclusive people who just want good things for each other. And that's really nice. But all of us, ourselves included, frankly, we've fallen a bit short. It's easy to talk to the converted. It's to talk to the people who look like you. It's easy to hire the people who look like you. And it's sometimes, frankly, it's hard when you're under the gun and you need good help and you need someone with experience who knows what's up on day one. It's the easiest thing to do is to find the person who looks a lot like you because they've got similar experience to you. And I'll credit Tiff, actually, conversation that we had with the two of you guys that night after Ren's speech. I just remember Tiffany saying to me, like, love what you guys do, love where your hearts are at, but like, your Instagram feed is so white. Like, you guys just, you need to show people that, like, it's not just for you, like it's for other people too. And honestly, we're working on it now. Like, we still haven't figured it out. We still haven't cracked it because we don't want to do it in a way that's like feels, too surface or not significant or not meaningful enough. But it is a problem. Like, we need beer to reflect back to more people than you and me, and it's an ongoing project. So the diversity scholarship was a step in that direction. It was a realization that if you want to change the makeup of the industry and to actually bring in fresh ideas and fresh perspectives, you got to make a point of it. It's not just going to happen automatically because the lane of least resistance is to keep doing what we've been doing.
Yeah, and
we benefited already. Like, our first year, we kind of had we had an Indigenous man who joined our team. Last year, we had an amazing brewer named Natalie who came to us from Niagara College and spent a couple months working with us. And she's gone on. She's working with Fairweather and doing other things, but she's a tremendously talented person and was awesome to have on the team. And frankly, awesome to have in our orbit of people who've come through Dominion City. And we actually just found out that we've got this year's recipient has just been awarded, and we're looking forward next week to chatting and setting up the details of having another young woman come through and work with our team. So the way it works is you win the $1,000 towards your tuition, and you get a paid gig with us for a couple months. So we benefit from that in a huge way too. So it isn't selfless. It isn't just for everybody else. It's for us too. I think that's the biggest thing. But I've been really pleased too that, like, we are so far from alone now. The number of other breweries who've announced similar initiatives, it's awesome to be copied on this one. Like, it's great. So I think that can only be good because we have a lot of work to do.
I love it, man. It's so cool, and like, I hadn't seen anybody else do it before you guys. It's funny enough, we're a part of now 2 other non-profit initiatives similar to that, and to be honest, you guys were a huge inspiration on this for us. We're working with something with Cee and OG, where we're trying to basically do the same thing for people of color, particularly starting with Black people and the Black community and moving on through Indigenous and people of color over time to basically do it either a path through the Brewer side, the Cicerone side, and the end goal guiding people to ownership, because that's really what the communities are lacking, is ownership. And you guys were the ones that we saw do it first. And I remember saying to Jake, you guys know Jacob at Sankiam?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So like I'm sure he was already aware of that, but that was like, you guys really led the way with that and took the reins at a time. And even 2 years ago, it almost seems kind of crazy. Like 2 years ago was a different time when no one else was really doing it. So I really feel like you guys were ahead of the cycle, ahead of the game to do these type of things and to sort of really recognize that like this is the change that's needed. Ren was doing it, and you were like, no, not only will we make sure we host your the event here and bring it. And it was one of the coolest times, to be honest, man. I feel like I saw one of the few times in Canada, almost everybody from differently abled, different LGBT, every sort of race in the brewery, and people asking random questions and talking about it. It was just such a fantastic evening, and it was sometime in a cold.
It really
April,
was.
It was like a cold April evening. It wasn't nice weather, but people came out to hear someone talk, someone like Ren who has such a wonderful reputation and passion for all of this stuff, and to see you guys sort of, that was the evening that was all like, oh, we didn't know that was happening. You guys announced the scholarships, and it was like, wow, this is some like, once again, Dominion City leading the fucking charge with everything, and that's why we love you guys so much. It's just so cool that you guys did that, and like, yeah, I get that it totally isn't selfless, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's just really it's really about the survival of the industry, because we can't have not only we have 5 bearded guys, but 4 bearded guys with glasses as well. Right here, very important to note.
Yeah.
It's a very homogenous podcast.
Yeah, like, and this is something that, like, trust me, the irony is not lost. Being that our producer and co-founder of this entire podcast is a black female, I don't choose who is on here based on who they are. It's like, hey, we typically talk to owners and head brewers, and for, the problem there is that those individuals don't tend to be people outside of people who look like the 4 of us. But then that's what you guys are advocating for. We're trying to do our part as well and contribute towards that. Genuinely, thanks to your inspiration, I think it's just really cool that you find the time. It's always like, I feel like you guys always find the time to do something valuable for the community constantly. On top of just making firehouse beer, which you really don't have to do anything more than that. But you continue to choose to do so, and I think that's always going to speak to your legacy and what you guys have left, in Ottawa and in Canada and Ontario. It's a beautiful thing, man. I'm not trying to like kiss your ass completely on this all the time. It's just so cool because I just fuck with you guys so hard. We always talk about what you guys do, often more than you guys know. I think you have more of an impact than even you realize in that type of stuff, which is the wonderful thing about legacy, I guess, and what you guys are sort of contributing to a beer scene that is relatively small. Granted, we're only like what 5.
But you're touching on something, Craig, that I think is like very relevant, which is like people who are choosing to buy this kind of beer from companies like ours are not just interested in just buying a product. That's an easy enough thing to do. And there's so many other products that I think are just very transactional like that. The fact that people bring that amount of passion, where they're like, I want to buy a product where I see my values reflected in the choices I'm making, and where I see, the things I care about in the world I want to make. I'm looking for that in the people who I'm buying from. There's a lot of pressure, frankly, that goes with that sometimes, but I think it's great, and I really think that like the consumers of the stuff that we make deserve some credit for that, because I think we feel the expectation. It's like, all right, well, like, what have you done for me lately? Like, what have you done for others lately? It's not enough that you guys are just making cool beer. That's essential. I'm not interested in spending money with you unless you're doing that. Okay, let's keep working on that. But in addition to that, like, what are you doing to try harder to make things a little better than you found it? And like, I think we do feel like that's part of our job too. So I really credit our customers and our fans with that.
I like that. That's super dope. Do you guys think about that? Do you guys think about the legacy that, I mean, obviously legacy not meaning an end to anything, but just sort of like, the way people think about Dominion City, both for the products and for sort of what you actually contribute to society? Do you guys, is that like I imagine that's something that's important to you?
Oh, I don't know, man. You know, like we're not encouraged to think about legacy. It's it's one of those things that's frowned upon. But I do think it's helpful sometimes. Like I do think, I don't know. I don't even smoke, but I've been thinking about time a lot lately. You see it in the names of our beers keeps coming up. But I do think that it's almost helpful to just realize that it's all going to end someday. It sort of has a way of focusing you on what you're doing with the time. I don't know. Whether it's legacy or it's just my dad had a way of saying that you should leave the campground a little tidier than you found it, and I've always found that very simple and kind of inspiring. So I think that's part of what drives us on this front. But yeah, there's lots to be inspired by, and Ren's a great example. Like this summer, we worked with her. She's taken the lead on creating an app that's almost ready. It's going to be called the Canadian Brewery Inclusion Toolkit. And there'll be sort of like a practical how-to, going one step beyond her talk, which was about like why it matters that we should make people feel included in beer, to like, what do you do about it? Okay, so you're a guy who owns a brewery. You're probably a guy. You're probably white. What are you gonna do to like, make sure that the door feels open? And you probably have a beard and you probably have glasses. But like what are practical things that you can actually do to make your business more welcoming and more inclusive, and in ways that maybe you didn't think about before, which I think are fun and exciting and helpful. So
I love that. Jesse's Mr. Smoking Darts. I don't know. Is darts ciggies or is darts a spliff? I don't know.
Darts are cigarettes.
I do too, but I'm good now.
You good now?
I'm good now.
Yeah, you don't need them. You're above it, Scott. You're above it.
Yeah, I think that.
I'm not above it.
I think that like particularly with all of the things that you guys have sponsored, like the like the scholarship and like seed funding, the inclusion, like the inclusion toolkit, which is which is just fantastic. It's you guys at least from an outward perspective, at least from what I see as as another white guy, in the industry, what it looks like to me is that you try, you guys are trying your best to take like the lessons that Ren talks about, and I'm thinking back to the talk that she gave. Is that correct? And one of these lessons that that always of Ren's that always sticks with me is craft beer loves to talk about being for the community, and if we are going to be for the community, we really need to that doesn't just happen on its own, and it really needs to actually require some effort to ensure that everyone in that community has a seat at that table, and it's everyone in this industry, whether it's from owners, brewers, people in beer media, we've all got a part to play in that, and I think you guys do a really good job of kind of not just talking about it, but really doing the work to make it happen, and you're a good example for the industry. That's at least how it looks to me.
Well, I appreciate the kudos. For what it's worth, we have Stefan is our CFO. He happens to be black, but I was talking to him. We have a lot of work to do still, and I realize that when I speak to him. He tells me, he's like, my family, my friends, people in my community, they love drinking beer, and they don't know anything about your beer, about our beer. We're not showing up. We're not registering for them, and there's no reason why they wouldn't be interested in enjoying what we do, but we're not there yet. And he's like, I don't have a perfect answer for how we get there, but he's like, I know there's more we can be doing, and I think he's right. I haven't cracked it yet either, but you're right. I think you're onto something, Nathan, when you say like you gotta cross the street for others. You can't wait for people to like just walk in your door. You know what I mean? If you actually want to be more inclusive, if you want to have a more representative fan base, like you got to go build that, and you got to reach out and take the first step. So we started, I think, to do that last summer. I think we had our eyes open, like a lot of people, with what was going on last summer. But there's lots to do.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and that's and that's why I was very careful to say that's how that's how it looks to me, because the important thing is, as Tiffany's saying right now, there's still so much work to do, and I, as another white guy, am obviously not and obviously not the one to to pat our to pat the four of us on the on the back, or even to pat to pat you guys on the back. I'm not the one to say that things that everything's are great, but I think that but I think it's just one of those things, like you say, it's just important to who you have to listen to. You've got that voice who's saying to you, you've still got a lot to do, and if you're and if you've got those voices that can that can tell you that and kind of direct that for you, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Particularly in-house as well. One thing I always thought was interesting.
Yeah. In-house is key.
In-house is so key. Yeah, Tiff saying you guys are all on the right path, which is, I couldn't agree more. Our good friend Tio from Crowns and Hops, they're a African-American owned brewery in Los Angeles. He always told me, he's like, if you go to the hoods in the States anywhere, there's no craft beer in those convenience stores. There's like all the type of 40 ounce and terrible beers and stuff like that those companies are proactively selling to those communities. So their mission was to expose people of color, particularly African Americans, to craft beer, to be like, all humans, regardless of how much melanin we have, we all like flavor, and obviously, craft beer has more flavor than the less flavorful macro. So why wouldn't people be given the chance to enjoy it? So the thing about Canada is that it's not as much separated by a poverty line as much as like just community based. I think it's more just people like Tiffany's mother. Tiffany's mother is a woman from Jamaica, moved from Jamaica and lived most of her life in Canada, but she's still a Jamaican woman. Because of us, she drinks craft beer. She understands craft beer, maybe not deeply, but every time I have something, I make sure when I'm there in Toronto, which isn't as often as I would like, but I would always let her try some stuff, or I'd leave some things for her and always try. And she's always super open and be like, oh wow, that's really nice. And she would show her friends some stuff sometimes as well. And it's like a step-by-step thing, but in say a Jamaican community, if you they're just not exposed. People just aren't exposed to it. So I wonder what the actual path to that solution looks like in a place like Canada, where it's not a matter of segregation, maybe more so than the States, where just people of color are placed in this neighborhood, and it's a little bit like that here, but not as much. So I wonder where that, where everyone shops at the same LCBOs. I go to LCBOs all the time in Ontario, but it's, just like anywhere else, like in Toronto, it's every nationality under the sun. So I'm like, okay, well, why are certain individuals gravitating towards the, Heineken and blah, 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 as opposed to the craft side? It's just, that's the interesting sort of conundrum, I think, with the Canadian.
You said something interesting though about what Tio had said, and frankly, I didn't know about Crowns and Hops until I saw them on your feed. So I have you guys to thank for that. I thought that was super cool. Years ago, I think they were programming beer festivals for people of color, and I thought that was very cool. But he said something there, which is like, these companies are actively after these markets,
yes.
And like the truth is, it's not an accident. Like there are certain companies who have made it part of their strategy to be there and to reach out to people, and it's been a gap for the rest of us. We just so I think we have to make it one. And if I can be really practical about it, I think like last summer, I think the crack in the door for me was like, sorry, I saw Tiffany's comment here. I'm wondering how much do these craft beers show up predominantly Black communities, Eglinton West and Western Road? Yeah, I don't know. My sense is like not a lot, probably. And again, part of that I think is on us. Like it's part of our job to like make ourselves relevant to that audience, right? But so that's an eye-opening thing. But last summer, George Floyd, everything that happened, afterwards was definitely, like at a lot of breweries, I think people, and again, this is part of like beer expects something of itself, which I appreciate. Beer expects that it has a response to these things. It doesn't shrug it off and say, I don't know, there's nothing to do with us. We just make beer. That's an unacceptable answer for beer, which I think is good. It's a good start. But part of the way we chose to respond to it was like, let's find Black leaders in our city, in our community, who are doing stuff, and let's use the signal we've got to boost their signal. And let's find a way to marshal some of the amazing support we get from our fans for community causes, and let's send it their way. And the truth is, like, we hadn't before. Whether we would have liked to have, or whether we would have got to it, I don't know. But we hadn't. And so last summer we started, and like we've begun little relationships with a couple organizations. There's one in particular in Ottawa called Jaku Conbit, and they're just like the most amazing organization that's like empowering Black youth in Ottawa, running camps and other things. And it's a cultural organization, and like they make the fabric of Ottawa richer. And like we've never done anything with them. It is totally our place to do something with an organization like that. They absolutely should have been on our radar, and they were not. But because they are now, we have like a genuine friendship with some of the people involved there. I have a job posting posted on their internal job board. Maybe that'll even result in a few Black candidates for a job this summer, which might even mean, hopefully, our team becomes more inclusive and more diverse, which would be wonderful. Things that didn't happen before. So I think Ren's whole thing and what you guys are talking about, just like take the first step, get out from your bubble, get out from behind your four walls, and go find people who don't look like you and try and bring them in. I think that's the task at hand now.
Could not agree more. Well said, man. Tiff's also saying, and this is a good sort of challenge here, and these marketing pop-ups, like the ones you're talking about with Fairweather. Shouts to Dan and the Fairweather team, who I know are fantastic people. Do they happen in areas that have denser Black populations? That'd be interesting to see. So I imagine that's probably a challenge. That's what Jesse's saying. Tiffany's point, exactly what we're trying to figure out. So I imagine that, it needs to be a proactive approach to be like, okay, if we do our usual pop-up at these 4 bars that we always go to that are on Queen West in Toronto or on the main drag of Hamilton, where it's just downtown and it's not a neighborhood where there is not even just Black, but just other people that typically wouldn't be familiar with craft beer, how can we involve those communities? Because I feel like it's almost kind of like weird if you just popped up on Eglinton West, it's predominantly Jamaican area, and just pop up there with no context. It's also kind of weird as well. I feel like there needs to be a connection to the community, because then it feels like you may be like a leech on the community there. You're trying to be like, hey, I'm trying to sell my stuff, as opposed to like, no, I want to integrate. So I feel like there has to, it's a very complex, deep conversation as to the proper way to do this, to make it authentic, efficient, and technically effective, to make sure that you're actually reaching people for job. Like you said, the job board is beautiful. That's exactly it. We were telling, I'm not sure if you're familiar with L'Espace Public here in Montreal. They're
Simon's a longtime friend and collaborator.
Of course, because you guys did the collabs.
Simon and I were in grade 7 together in Burlington, Ontario.
Oh, you lived in Burlington. Oh, yeah. Simo, I call him Simo because we're from Australia. We call him Simon. We call him Simo. He is the fucking wildest C word I've ever met. I love Simon so much. I forgot. I can't say the C word on this podcast, so Canadians get mad at me. I have another podcast, Monday nights, 8 p.m. Bad Habits. Check that out. We say the C word explicitly if you want to hear it. So yeah, Simon and I are really good friends. And Simon said to us one time, he's like, yo, how do I reach the community? And I told him exactly what you just said. I said, bro, you need to go to like this was a couple of years ago. And I love that he was passionate about that. And I love Simon because he's such a good soul. So I totally forgot that you guys were homies, of course. I was like, yo, go to a community organization, say like, Sri Lankan or Jamaican or some sort of cultural association. Be like, hey guys, you want to do I know it's like not the conversation to have in the middle of COVID, being that there's no events and blah, blah, blah. But I was like, you want to have your event? You know what? Let us come and be the beer of the event, and we'll pair our beers to your cultural traditional food. So we can be like, this sour beer goes well with this dish, and this IPA and blah blah blah, and show people that things are more than just the usual drinks that they're used to. And I think it takes breweries, and exactly what you're saying there is that the breweries sometimes have to make the first step to move into that with authentic and organic and what's the word? True is the word that's coming. Just like real intentions, like genuine intentions to be like, I want to make this better. I'm not trying to get $1 off you guys. I want you guys to see what we do. I want you guys to see what beer can be. And then there's opportunities for your community. We'd love to have people work here if there's a fit, and we'd love to have you guys discover what other flavors exist. Just like it's been an honor to, I feel like I was cheated my whole life not eating Jamaican food until it doesn't exist in Australia. There's no Jamaicans, man. Like, so, and then I met Tiff when I moved here, and I tried some food out here, and I tried her mum's food, and I was like, what is this shit? What the fuck, man? I got screwed my whole life not being exposed to this flavor. So I imagine there's going to be some people of different cultures who try something like Dark Night of the Soul and be like, what the fuck is this? This is incredible. Why did I think that Budweiser is all there was? And I feel like, it's just that introduction and spreading of just, hey, this is dope. You should try it. And beer
and one step beyond that too is like, and you belong here. Like, there's room for you here.
Facts.
Like, Ren always talks about like a seat at the table, right? Like making room. And I think that's like an apt thing. So that's that one more step. It's not just like, hey, this beer is bomb and you should like it. It's like, and by the way, it's for you too.
Yes.
Which I think is a step we've missed. So there's work. There's
a lot of work.
There's always work. Yeah. There's always work.
Tiff is just saying here, strategic partnerships are so key. That gives the cosign that presents any side eye. Same as any brand is trying to reach a new audience. That's essentially what I was saying in a much more eloquent way. And she's also saying they are making good strides in the US. Still a lot of work to be done there, but we can do the same here. And that's exactly it. People like Beer Culture, shouts to Letitia and everything that she's doing with Cicerone and stuff like that reminded me a lot of what you guys were doing with Ren and the partnerships there, and just really trying to just be proactive and do whatever you can to sort of give back and just expand it. And like you said, yeah, it has to be authentic or it's going to seem like a grab. Yeah, it's a large challenge, but I guess the point of bringing it up is that you guys were sort of, from our perspective, at the forefront of this type of stuff with partnering with Ren and really making, I remember she told me about the toolkit back then, so I know it's taken her a while to sort of put everything together. Sounds like quite a large endeavor.
It's a really big undertaking for sure.
I can imagine, but it's so important, and I think breweries are starting to get the point. It's a slow grind, but it's getting there. And just thank you for all you guys, for you both and your whole team, just for sort of supporting it and spearheading it and championing it and supporting someone like Ren and just doing whatever it can and just putting the money up to give back. It's just really nice to see, and it's appreciated. And I think it's really it's what's going to make beer move ahead. Like we said, there's only so many blokes like us with no melanin and lots of facial hair and depleted vision that can keep this shit running. And it's all fun and games right now, but at the end of the day, humans are varied and different, and everyone has different tastes. And just imagine what different cultures are going to bring to craft beer and the different elements, and be like, yo, why don't you try these ingredients? We're like, oh shit, we never even thought of this because we're all white motherfuckers. All right, cool, let's try this. It's really cool. I love it. So thank you guys, appreciate it. That's wonderful. Nate, do we have anything else we want to make sure? Did we tap all your list?
Yeah, nice. I think we covered everything that was that was a good deep chat.
Yeah, it got deep. I feel like I see Scott's finish his 6-pack. He's like, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah, they're all gone. I gotta go. It's time to go.
It's over. Nah, boys, this was awesome. I really appreciate it. This is long overdue, and it's a genuine pleasure to hang out and have a chat and just hear what's been happening from you guys' perspective over the years. So thank you very much, and thank you for everything you do. It's just, we're big fans. We always will be. It's amazing.
It's really been a genuine pleasure.
For real. And thank
Thanks
you,
for
Nate,
having
as
us.
well, for co-hosting. It's perfect. Basically, Nate is a big part of BAOS. He runs the blog, and it's great. Nate's going to be handling all the Ottawa episodes with me, which is fun. It makes it, gives a bit of a local perspective, some other things that I'm not familiar with. So thank you, Nate. You asked some great questions, dude. Killer, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your wonderful beer.
Cheers, mate.
It's just glorious. I want you to know that.
Thanks for having us on, guys.
Man, thank
it's
you so
awesome.
much. Josh and Scott, where can everybody find either you two individually if you want to be found, or Dominion City online?
I'm at Justin Bots on Instagram, but other than that, Josh handles the rest of it.
Just roll up. Come to the drive-thru anytime, man. We're there.
Anytime. What if they are from afar and they want to see what you're doing online? Where do they go?
Yeah, join us at dominioncity.ca or follow us on Instagram at Dominion City.
I love it. Andrew is sending love. Andrew, miss you. Come give me a hug when we can. No, boys, I appreciate you so much. Nathan, where can everybody find you online, you sex beast?
All right, so everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's at NathanDoesBeer, or on the BAOS podcast blog. A direct link to all of my blog posts is nathandoesbeer.com.
Look at that. What a beast. Boys, stick around after we'll say goodbye. I'm just going to wrap this up here. Oh, do you want me to do? Thumbnail. Almost forgot.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I'm going to take a screenshot. So if you want to hold up a couple cans or something, because this is what the people are going to be seeing. This is very important. I never want to... there we go. Look at that. Everyone ready? Oh, stunning. Look at that. All ridiculous faces. That's what I'm here for. Guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Andrew. Oh, Tiff is saying bye, Andrew. Andrew and Jesse and Rick and Daniel and Bruce, everyone who was commenting. Craig, I appreciate all of y'all. Thank you so much for coming by. Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell. Nathan.
Ding.
So you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BOS Podcast and check out the long form audio so you can hear extraordinarily attractive gentlemen with extraordinary facial hair and vision impairment talk about craft beer here on BOS. We'll be back next Friday at probably 9 p.m. with Uncle Matthew from Tooth and Nail, good friends of Dominion here. We'll see you next week, guys. Get in here.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.